Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the 1879 actual play. I am Brad Decker. I'm the line developer for 1879. And as usual, we will let everybody go ahead and get their introductions going while I get the notice of the stream posted. It's
Hello,
your
I
cue.
am. I'm. Hey, I was starting. You just started talking at me. Hi,
Sorry.
I'm Joel. I'm one of the writers for 1879. I will be playing Morgana, my elven aristocrat. Um, and that's about it at the moment. So there we go.
Hello, I'm Chris. I play Weymont. He's a mage. He used to be an aristocrat, but he's no longer an aristocrat because, he went to do mage stuff.
So kind of
I'm
like
Michelle.
I've decided that no matter what my parentage is, I'm putting that on pause so I can go do mage stuff. Is that how that
Because
works?
magic is fantastic.
He's probably technically still an aristocrat, but just not by profession.
He's a
just,
magic aristocrat.
Yeah.
He's just an amazing guy.
Hold on.
Anyway, I'm
Um,
Michelle, and I play August. He's an investigator, Chris.
wait, when did that happen?
Like
When did that
maybe the
last
beginning of the campaign. I don't
To be honest,
know.
I wasn't even aware investigator was a thing you could be. To be honest,
Fair enough.
No,
I'll let you off.
Writers. Oh my God.
I'll still poke fun though, and he's an elf, so there we go.
I'm Lexi. I play River, a elven explorer who plan A is shoot it.
That was also point B, C, D, E, and F, but okay.
My name is Drew, and I play a Scots Troll soldier.
Let's see, that leaves me and Brad. I'm Andy,
Right.
I'm the GM.
Well, I already introduced myself.
Started it, you're right. So then it was just me. I'm going to do the recap. I never do the recap, but I'm going to do the recap today. The recap is that you guys went to help out a lady who would probably have been hung if not for you. And not only did you manage to save her from being hung, but you actually also managed to save her from the worst of the social fallout. Was it a perfect situation? No, it wasn't. But you guys did an amazing job of finding information to help bring enough reasonable doubt and also to buying off the evil landlady and cutting her off before she could have published, sell off to be published even more letters that would have damned her societally. So, is her life perfect? No. But she has a better chance of moving forward than she would have without you.
Yay.
And then that you guys did, I guess, some training. And everybody happy with where their characters are at as far as training and points and all that good jazz.
well, I
good.
haven't touched it, and I've been okay so far, so I think I'll be okay now too.
Hey, look, I had a Earthdawn character once that I don't think I leveled for 6 months. Everybody else was leveling. I'm just like, I'm cool. I'm doing what I'm doing. Thanks. It's all good. All right. Onward. You guys are at the office because it's an office day. I don't know. Having tea.
What date are we picking things up at?
Mac, well, when we return, I would like to give a little memento box of treats from where we were up in Scotland to is it Miss Phoebe? What
Miss
was her name
Phoebe.
again?
Phoebe Price.
Miss Phoebe Price. And thank her for all her keeping the place nice while we're gone.
Yeah, she keeps it well stocked. Lots of tea, especially now with the troll. She's got to make sure there's plenty of biscuits. As far as how much later, do you guys need more than 2 weeks to train? Or is 2 weeks enough time for you guys to have your characters trained up?
think 2 weeks is more than enough. It's plenty. So
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, I'm not like ranking up professionally or anything, so I
Yeah,
should be covered.
on a technical
I-
note, the attribute increases just seem to be horribly expensive and time consuming in 1879. Is that other people have a different take on that?
They are. That's an inherited mechanic, but they are also very limited, as in you only get to do them once each time you progress.
Which sounds like stuff that should be dealt with not right now.
yep.
So, you guys are at the office, and Miss Price comes in. Make sure you have tea and biscuits and all that, like she always does. And she says, I have a favor to ask.
Sorry, real quick. What day are we starting back on then?
2 weeks later.
Okay, so that would be, let's see, we got back Thursday, June 23rd, or no, that was when we left to come back, so we would have been back for Friday. Hang on, I gotta get my calendar pulled up here.
Yeah, the last note we've got is Tuesday the 21st when we visited the asylum.
But then there were a couple of days tidying things up after that. So.
Yeah. Oh, excuse me.
Yeah. Now the 23rd, I have noted that we get we take the train back.
So yeah, the
8th
23rd you
of
can
July
back.
would
Go ahead.
8th of July would be about 2 weeks, which would be a Friday.
So July
Perfect.
8th.
All right. So that Friday,
Okay.
you guys are all at the office doing office things, like telling Batsy not to be on my table because she knows better. Really? That. Okay. So Miss Phoebe walks
Paperwork.
in with her, biscuits and tea and pours everybody what they like, coffee, water, whatever, and says, I have a favor. Understand your salaries will be completely covered. But this case is a personal ask from myself.
What kind of favor?
Well, I have a niece, and she is to be married shortly, and everything had been going splendidly. And now all of a sudden, we're about 2 weeks out from the wedding, and she said, well, she feels like the wedding's being sabotaged.
Um, so,
I would like you all to investigate and set her mind at ease that no one is trying to sabotage her wedding, that it's just a run of bad luck, and make sure that everything runs as smoothly as possible.
Is it here in London or is it elsewhere?
No, it's here in London.
Okay.
What sort of things have been happening?
Oh, the strangest things. Well, her dress. Something is like it was put away properly, and somehow it managed to get well muddy prints all over it. Weird little like muddy spots. We got that out. There was a tear in the veil. We've had to replace the veil. Um, there was a decorator who came by who swears that someone jumped out and tried to spook her wearing a mask, and they left and refused to come back. We had to find a new decorator. There was a well the baker who came with some samples to decide on which cake they wanted, and his samples somehow managed to be dumped all over the floor when they were in the entryway. He'd been, set down his stuff. They had had a discussion in the one parlor. And then when he went out to go get the samples and bring them in, somehow the box had been basically knocked off of the bench and seemingly shook to all heck because just falling off, according to her, just falling off shouldn't have caused it to be such a catastrophe. But it's just been this series of very small, silly oddities.
Hmm. That is strange.
So nothing life-threatening as such, just inconvenient, unpleasant, and unlikely.
Most of the staff has been there for ages. And there's no reason for any of the staff to behave in a way that would cause any of this. And yet, these inconveniences, oddities keep happening. And she's absolutely convinced that someone is trying to sabotage the wedding.
Perhaps could just be, I suppose, bride's nerves and all of that.
Yeah,
My
but it is
dear sister
strange.
did tell
Though.
me it's a very stressful time, but it
It's-
just seems very strange.
Was there any other incidents apart from that? Just the two?
Well, let's see. There's been 2 different occasions with the dress. One somehow, even though it was tucked away in a closet, put away properly, it was as if someone flung mud at it and got mud spots all over it. Then the veil was torn. Then there was a decorator that they lost because she swears that someone jumped out with a mask to spook her and that she was not putting up with that type of behavior. And then there was the baker sample. So there's been at least those 4 times.
Okay. Yeah, that's I mean, a couple of incidents could be happenstance, but all this sounds a little strange.
What are the circumstances of the match? Is it a love match? How do the families feel about it?
It is indeed. Both of the families are fine with the match. We're both very happy for the couple. I guess you could say that since he's human and she's a troll, there could be others who are unhappy about it, but not from either side of the family that I know of.
And you said it was a love match?
Yes. And they seem very smitten with one another.
I see. Did they meet before the change or after? Just curious.
After. He's a wonderful young man. And I'd like to say that my niece is, well, a rather modern woman, a wonderful young lady.
Okay. Well, we can certainly look into this.
I really appreciate it. I just want her to realize that it's an odd sense of just unfortunate circumstantial things that no one is sabotaging their wedding.
Did either the bride or groom have a love interest prior to the match?
She did not, but I'll be honest, I never thought to ask him.
That's
Their romance has been somewhat whirlwind, but not outrageously so. They've known each other for almost a year and have been engaged for the last 4 or 5 months. So nothing strange in that. And I guess I didn't think to ask since it'd been a year or so since they started seeing one another. I would have thought that anyone would have moved on.
well. I suppose these are all questions we can ask them. Having all these things happen is very, very strange, though. Plus, it seems really odd, like that someone would sneak in, take the dress out of the cupboard, splash it with mud, and then put it back. It's
Exactly.
Yes,
You
but it's
know,
nothing we haven't encountered before
No, it's
with our friend
Honestly, for the
James.
most part, have my
Oh,
sister, it's my sister's daughter, has had a very charmed household for as long as I've known them. You know, they've never seemed to have this type of thing. The silverware's never gone missing. They've never had any such fits. You know what I mean? You know, it's a type of household that when you can't find something, within a few moments the staff has found it and everything's put back to rights.
mhm.
Now all
You
the stuff,
remember our you remember our friend James?
yes.
the medium.
Yes. Wasn't he having strange things happen to him and things disappearing and odd things appearing?
Yeah, but that was a
Yeah,
ghost.
Yes, it could be a similar thing.
single face of the, but he deals with spirits and occasionally it's my understanding that his usual spiritual friend doesn't always play nice with the other spirits.
Um, I
No, but it's worth
August.
not discounting.
No, because if you always hear stories, certainly and near my family estates, all the locals have superstitions about brownies and all that, and keeping the house well and thanking them when you find something. Um, there could be some sort of household spirit or fairy that's jealous or just not happy about the young lady leaving the household.
I'll be honest, I had not considered that. I would also be honest that 10 years ago, I would have told you that fairies were, well,
Not real.
superstitious. Yes.
10 years ago, I would have disagreed with you, but I was a child at the time, so also my eyes were brown, so these things have definitely changed.
Her eyebrow raises just a little bit, and she says, "It's never good to point out a lady's age."
Weymont chooses this moment to just look out the window.
However, I would very much appreciate it if you either lay her worries to rest or, I guess, find the culprit and convince them to not interfere with the wedding.
may I ask, do you know what kind of prints were on the dress?
I don't know that it was true prints as much as it was a splattering. I didn't see it. It was cleaned before I was informed. This was one of the earlier ones. Uh, Honestly, this has all happened in the last week and a half, 2 weeks. And she seems to think that I think that she's just in a bit of a tumultuous period getting ready for the wedding. There's a lot of stress and strain to that. But silly things like misplaced shoes and gloves and yes, I understand that the staff is usually right on top of it and these things are always found very quickly and somehow are not. But I'm sure you realize that wedding puts a lot of strain on the household as well. So if the staff misplaced your favorite gloves, I don't think it's quite the sign of world collapse that currently my niece apparently thinks is.
When is the wedding scheduled for?
2 weeks from now. Well, 2 weeks in a day. It'll be on Saturday in 2 weeks.
So the 23rd?
Yeah, that sounds right. Well, no, it's the 9th today.
8th.
8th. So then the 23rd, yeah.
There, I'll post it. I pulled up the 1881 calendar when I was looking stuff earlier, so I posted that in the chat.
Do you have an address book where we might meet with the bride and groom and the parents who are hosting and make proper introductions and, you know, those sort of connections?
That's my sister's house. You can absolutely just go. I told her I would talk to you. And I can send a message to his household as well. He also seems to think that she's just worked herself up, as many young brides do. However, his family has zero problems with us making sure and hopefully calming down the bride's nerves. So you're welcome in both households without any issue.
Thank you.
Well, if we're expected, I see no reason to delay.
Nigel, Weymont, is there any truth in the sort of stories you hear of people with some magical talent causing strange effects around them when that power is just beginning, that they can't properly control it, or is that just tall tales I've been hearing?
Well, I mean, it's possible.
Just the thought of she's justifiably nervous about the wedding. It's another thought.
We're gonna say, Nigel,
Yes,
have you heard of anything about that? Is that a possibility?
it's certainly plausible. I think we'd need to get eyes on the situation first, though, before we assume anything with a magical influence.
I would agree.
Of course.
All right. Anything else at the office or for Miss Price? By the way, Max, she thanks you very much for your gift.
She is most welcome. I just wanted her to know she was being thought of and appreciated.
You'll also notice that you get served first and that there's a big plate instead of just the tiny usual biscuit plates. You get a big plate for cookies.
I pretend I'm not touched, but I snarf the cookies.
All right. With that, do you want to start at the bride's house or the groom's?
Which is closer?
They're probably fairly same distance. It's not a big difference either way.
I would say let's start at the bride's house first, since that's
Bride's
where we're
house
getting
then,
the
yeah.
introductions made.
And
I
that's
agree.
where the strange things are happening.
Is where the strange things are happening. All right. You guys go, you get into a steam cab coach and off to the bride's house. It's a very pretty house in a very posh neighborhood. You guys are greeted at the door by a butler.
Oh,
Who-
what neighborhood are they in?
Oh,
Posh one.
it's very crowded, posh.
I'd,
Feel
su-
estate.
I'd, su- I'd suggest Ealing. It's just off the edge of London. It is very posh and very leafy, and it's sort of kind of an upper middle class suburb, basically.
There you
I may
go.
have been researching. I may have been researching it recently.
What?
I don't-
I knew you. Thank goodness for you UK people knowing the area. The stories
Spoiler
in
alerts for the players, Joel.
Yeah.
As we approach the house, I would like a little hand signal so that I could talk through with Wayland and with Nigel, just to indicate checking astral space.
Oh, that was already on the plans as we were getting close to the house.
Check.
I'd also like to try and do a civil engineering just to see if there's anything unusual I notice about the house as we're getting up to it.
Okay, 1 second. I don't know. I want to make sure I understood what Mac. I don't know that Mac wanted to know that you would. I think he assumes you would. I think he wanted to signal so he knows that that's what you're doing.
And that I could say, something looks odd, check it, but subtly. So we just have a little hand signal
gotcha.
like it. Yeah.
Gotcha.
I just
Yeah,
wanted to-
just like point and tap your nose or something like that. Got it.
Yeah, I'll tap the side of my head or something, and it's a little. We have a prearranged signal. That's all.
Yeah, gotcha.
Okay.
Oh, that's fine.
All right. If you want to do the thingamabob to check out the building structure as you're walking up to it, you're perfectly welcome to roll that. It's okay.
Yeah, I will get those rolled and put in the chat here.
Okay, let's see. So I see August has a 10 on building security. From the outside, the one main perk you see is that there doesn't seem to be a lot of there's some bushes near the house, but there's a nice big clear division, so that would be very hard to sneak up on the house, if that makes sense. Like
Yeah.
the first step you can get from not near the house through the open vast I can see you section, you could hide in the bushes near the house, but there is a bit of astral on the house. You don't see anything unusual. There's definitely people and things like that, but nothing that goes, wow, that's weird. No.
Yeah.
Civil engineering. It's a fairly nicely made stone house. Nothing from the outside that's really of major notice. You can try. They're fairly upper middle class. And I mean, what money they have is for all purposes new money. And for anybody watching, listening, that was a question by Morgana about using her secret of the aristocracy. In this case,
21.
sorry, 21.
Yes.
Their new money. Overall, there's no scandals that you've heard of. And you have a
That.
feeling you probably would have heard of it if there was a scandal.
Yes, yeah.
As Drew, as far as I know, historically speaking, at the time period, it could be either. In this case, the wedding is at the house. But as far as I know, and you guys can correct me on this, I believe it can be at the church or at the house, and there's no scandal either way.
I believe so, yeah, because it's you'd need the right you'd need the local vicar to come around and do the ceremony for it to be legal. But that
Mostly,
say,
so like if they went to a smaller church
yeah,
and the church can hold as many guests as they want, but the house garden
yeah,
would, and that is most likely what the case is here.
yeah, they're probably a small private ceremony for the family, and then a sort of larger do at the house would seem completely reasonable and normal.
Okay, cool. That's good to know. I just remember one story about the minister doing consecration at a house for a wedding ceremony, and the Fae getting upset about it. So that's all I'm have in the back of my head.
And I'm not saying that that's not an option. I'm just saying it's not unusual.
One question about the house: have they done any modifications to accommodate the daughter with her change in size?
Not that you can tell from the front door of the house. When you get in, yes. The back doors, yes. But from the front door, no. However, they probably wouldn't have had to do too much. She's a little tall. She'd have to stoop. You'll have to stoop to get in because you are even for a troll, if I remember correctly, you are a fairly sizable troll.
Oh yeah.
So, because this has got a big, like, double front door, French door type of big opening. So,
And Victorian houses tend to have like 14-foot ceilings, so
yeah. So there's not a lot. It's mostly some doorways that have to be adjusted. The front door is a big double front door. Unlike American front doors, they do tend to be taller because of the 14-foot ceilings and stuff. But
They might be slightly narrower, but they are definitely taller.
yeah.
Just for a role play, can I have a little my flask have some milk in it?
sure.
Cool.
So, as the butler answers the door, actually, Morgana, anybody else can also do it, but Morgana's going to notice it without the roll. Does anybody else have etiquette?
I have etiquette.
You can roll your etiquette.
Maybe I will.
Okay.
What does it come off if it's not if you don't have the skill, or can we not roll?
Perception. You can do a perception.
Perception.
It's just easier with etiquette than just a normal perception.
I mean, my etiquette isn't the best, but you know, it exists.
We're player characters. We don't have etiquette.
I
No,
have etiquette.
that's
I
You
have
can't see me, but I'm holding my head in my hands and despairing.
Just yesterday, day before, made a third ed Sofasa, third ed Shadowrun character, and one of the first things I did on my skills was get etiquette. I'm just saying.
Yeah, that's right.
It was
That's how
essential
you
in
do.
Shadowrun.
I roll 10. I roll 10
10?
with
Okay.
etiquette. 10.
I got 8.
8.
But that was just perception, so
Gotcha. River, are you rolling? Nope, she was just typing. Okay. So
I got a 1 on my etiquette.
okay. Yeah, you have no. They're like, why is that guy answering the door? He's probably a
shoot it.
dad. Shoot him. I don't. No, I'm kidding.
But no, last night we had a player in a West Marches game whose character, it's an older dwarf or orc, and old men don't climb, and failed the climb check 3 times.
I had a dwarf.
And that was just to get out of bed.
I have a dwarf and I finally get to play 4th ed Orton. And I swear to fuck, if there is a hole, that dwarf will fall in the damn hole. And I cannot. I've actually declared in game that the character is now writing a book on how to decorate the hole when you have to live there. Because what else do? You decorate it. You put some shelves there. It'd be great. So,
17 on the first impression to introduce ourselves to the butler.
all right. So when the butler opens the door and starts to greet you,
Yeah.
August and Weymont. Notice that for a butler, he seems rather disheveled. I mean, he doesn't seem prim and proper. Yeah, he should. Morgana, no proper butler would come to the door looking like that. They always take a second, straighten their jackets and all that.
butlers are the worst for all of the ways of doing things properly in the houses. They're the most disapproving people, even more so than my mother.
Right.
It's a grand tradition that butlers are the pedantic sticklers for all things.
His bow tie is like half untied. His jacket is crooked. His vest is like pulled up so that you can see part of his shirt underneath. This is not okay, right? And as you give him this wonderful first impression, hi, where you hear a commotion in the background.
Is that
And
perhaps something we may be able to help with?
his eyes just no, like he has in this moment, like he kind of, you feel like he wants to close the door so that you don't see whatever the hell is going on. And at the same time, that would be even less proper. I'm sorry, you're here to see someone, and you hear a crash.
We are here to help. Sorry, what's the bride's name?
Oh, sorry. Laura.
We actually never got around to
Was
that,
that-
did we?
Yeah.
Her name is
I'm presuming we asked. We're not that sloppy.
No. You got her name. I'm proud of it.
Mrs. Price's niece, obviously.
Yes.
Come on, guys.
So yes, you're here to see Laura. Of course. Oh, you must be. Price
We're
said
Mrs.
something.
Price's. Miss Price sent us to deal with the strangeness. May we?
Yeah, this way, and he starts to take you into what's obviously a drawing room, parlor, that type of thing. There's another crash. There's a squeak, as if someone saw a mouse or was not necessarily frightened, but more startled. And then there's more commotion going on in the background. Yes, please. I will. I'll get you some tea. And he's all but like trying to like hurry you so he can close you into that room.
That would be wonderful. Thank you very much, gentlemen. River, my dear, shall we?
Right.
Perception.
Is awareness okay?
Is awareness okay? Oh.
Yeah. Awareness is BT. Well, look at you, Morgana. 22 on perception.
I rolled a 10 again.
I'm only one professional rating increase off being able to buy awareness as an actual skill.
Nice. I think Morgana. Is there one I'm missing?
That was so hard waiting for that circle level as Mordecai.
13. So that's Nigel, Matt, and Weymont. You swear you saw a beagle, at least the ass end of a beagle, running off that direction in the house. The 1819, you saw a couple of beagles. 22, and I'm going to give this even more for you on this one. That is a hunting pack that is now trampling through the house, which is pretty much never done. The hunting pack should not be loose in the house.
They should be at the country estate, surely.
Was that a beagle?
Who let the dogs out?
Who? Sorry, not sorry.
I think more appropriately, who let the dogs in?
Fair point.
So it's probably
Those are not household dogs.
way longer than it should have taken before a tea caddy is brought in.
Fine, they're having a day.
And she also looks more disheveled than she should.
Disheveled?
And I'm not going to make it roll for it, but there are definitely muddy puppy prints on the bottom half of that woman's skirt.
As River sees the dogs, she's gonna Anna will speak at him and have them heel to her.
Ooh.
Or at least attempt to.
Okay. So we got to back up because I thought you guys were in the room with the door closed. So you want to, before that, you want to try animal to talk to some of the dogs to get them to come to you?
I mean, she's gonna try to help out, and she likes dogs more than people.
That's very
I
good.
have to say that this is most unorthodox.
Several of them actually do. So you get 2 or 3. And pack mentality seems to that the other ones are like, what? Who? That means nephew. Now you have them all basically jumping up on you, which means that
Take them outside.
about 10 beagles. The butler looks even more flabbergasted because it's so completely not okay. As you
Yeah,
guys
so
are, yes, that's very nice. Sweet pat, please put these muddy feet all over me.
oh, River don't care.
Yes, everybody else around the river that might. They're not really healing as in they came and sat. They're, hey, you're new. Who are you?
Yeah, yeah. She'll take them outside and she'll talk with them. How'd you guys get inside?
If Morgana will do her best to help smooth the process of River and the dogs getting out of the house with the household staff. She
The
will do
front
her
door,
best.
it's an easiest way to get out. Then getting them back around to the kennels is a whole other game. But between you guys in River, it's cool. I love you too. Come outside with me. And one of them's like, can we go catch a red thing? Let's go chase the red things. We love chasing those. And then the pack is all about we should go chase something. But they're telling you about it. I don't know how much you. Here you go, River. I want you to understand. As someone who has now had 15 kindergartners all screeching the same question at once in 15 different ways, that is what you have right now.
All right. We'll go do a chase. All right, follow me. Let's go chase and run to the kennels.
All right, so you get them out there. Morgana, you're helping get them out of the house, but then do you continue outside or do you
Just,
say
I will then return to the house, but just sort of politely helping the staff and asking them so that River can keep the attention on the dogs and I can get the staff to open doors and clear the way.
like I said, the easiest
Just to
way
make
is
it.
straight out the front door and then
Yeah.
So you get them out. I will come back to you, River. The inside, you can tell that the entire household is ruffled, but so much calmer now that the herd of beagles is outside.
That's what I was thinking. Thank you,
But
River.
they're obviously somewhat ruffled in, like, we all know, the herd of hunting dogs is never let loose just to run really all over the house and knock things over and stuff like that. So you guys, since River helped with that, you'll get your tea sooner rather than later. Doesn't take nearly as long because you're not hunting the hunting dogs down to get them out.
Yeah.
Anybody saying anything to a little bit of staff or until you see Laura? Or
just reassuring people that we are here to help tidy up and deal with all of these incidents, and acting like it's not upsetting us and being unruffled by it, which should hopefully help them feel better, that they're not sort of upsetting visitors or anything like that, because etiquette and all that.
etiquette, and they don't want to look like they're bad staff. Like, people take pride in
Exactly. Yeah.
their job. So yes, you do a pretty good job of helping them get all that filled out. You guys are served, tea and biscuits or coffee or whatever you want. Cognac. They're pretty easygoing at this point. Sure. After you get them to run down the energy a little bit, and this is going to take you some time. Beagles actually have a lot of damn energy. When their energy's down a little bit, much like kindergartners, their brains actually are a little more focusable. So I'll let you try to ask what you wanted to ask.
How did you guys get inside? Did someone let you in?
The door was open. All of the doors open.
all of the doors were open? That doesn't sound right.
Give me a perception check real quick. Awareness will work.
15.
All of the doors in the kennel are open. Which
Did,
never, that's a bad plan.
did you guys see who opened them? Or did you smell them?
Oh, smells like fun. We followed right inside. Did you know? And then it starts going off again, and it's almost a cacophony. It's this one's talking about what you think is some flowers that were in the house. This one's talking about something it obviously found in the kitchen. And it's just, what the Hades? But obviously, they're talking about all the stuff in the house. There's a good chance they were all over that house, you think. The staff is not going to be happy about cleaning that up.
Yeah, they'll get over it.
They will. But it's still not fun. But yes, something, and they followed it into the house, and apparently the back door, and you can see the back door is now closed. But there's like a French door out to the back gardens, and the kennel is out back behind the gardens, kind of like off to the side and back. So something opened up all their doors, and they followed whatever it was into the house. Someone will come out the back door, and there some like guards are and trying to get the dogs in their kennels. And about the time you get kind of that all under control and settled, they're asking you if you want to come in and meet with everyone else that they've got tea ready.
Yeah, after helping get them in the.
They're very friendly, happy, and they're beagles. They're using food to get them to go into the things. They'll follow almost anybody with food. So River comes back. She has even more muddy footprints on her than when she left. But somebody is thanking her as you being ushered into the parlor for helping with the dogs. They have no idea how they all got loose. But they assure you they don't run such a sloppy ship as a whole.
Oh, someone did open all the kennels. They didn't. They couldn't say if they seen or smelled anyone. So
I'm assuming at some point I'm going to have to reassure Hedron those are not cats.
Well, they're bigger than cats, and he's not totally sure that he can lift one. But if you don't mind, you can hold it down while he kills it.
Not cats, not for eating.
Oh yeah, murder
Most
pirate.
cats aren't for eating either. Just saying.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the feral ones are fine.
He's pretty sure that these are feral. See, if they weren't feral, they wouldn't be all running around causing a muck.
Well, I mean, River runs around and causes a muck, and she's not feral.
are we sure about that?
I mean, that's true.
She's certainly not domesticated.
She's not a tame
Sure,
river.
sure that she's
She's not tame, but she's not feral.
Yeah, I would say she's domesticated because she doesn't do, inappropriate things in the living room or anything like that, But yeah, maybe not tame.
So, actually, this is an interesting one. He would like to go and look. He says he won't eat the dogs. It implies he won't eat the dogs.
He wants to go look at the kennels?
He wants to go look. He didn't actually say where.
Look, yeah, look where.
In the house.
Okay, well, I'll let him lead on. Let's see what he's got an eye for.
Now, the staff is a little bit concerned with this giant bird. Are you going to follow it around, or you want to wait until after you talk to Laura before you do that?
If he's got an eye for something, I would say let's let him search. Morgana, I'll defer to Morgana if she wants to try and smooth things over.
Morgana will suggest one of the servants escorts them both, and that we are, we apologise. We are somewhat
All right.
eclectic in our range of skills and capabilities. So we apologise if anything seems odd, but this is the sort of reason why Miss Price employs us and wanted us to help here.
Let's have him perch on my shoulder so he's not flying in the house, and he can point with a wing where he wants to go.
But Nigel, I need you to roll a step 12.
On what?
It's not for you. I just need to know what the number is.
Just what? Roll a step 12. Okay.
It's the bird step.
There is my 10. Hang on, that one landed cocked. 15.
All right. Well, he's getting you. He basically ends up leading you out of the house, out into the gardens, into, for all purposes, what you might suspect was a mole hole, some sort of burrow. But he's very interested in that burrow.
I'll ask the staff: is there whoever it was that's escorting us? Is there something unusual about the burrow here?
Oh, I mean, they. All right, UK people, correct me, but you guys do have like moles that dig under gardens and stuff still, right?
Yes, we do.
Yeah,
Because
of course.
That is what we assume that this is.
in the main British Isle, we're not an island. Island doesn't have moles or snakes, but that one's St. Patrick.
But they're going to let the gardener know, and maybe your bird friend is hungry. They can see if there's anything in the kitchen it would eat.
I'm gonna astral sight the molehill.
Oh, now that's an interesting thing, because a molehill shouldn't have a fucking pattern.
Andy, YouTube censors.
Two sensors. Sorry, the molehill shouldn't have a bloody pattern.
Actually, Brad, as long as you're a minute after the start of the video, it should be fine.
Yeah, but they'll still cause issues.
I'm trying, and Brad is reminding me to practice, so that's okay.
I got
either way,
I got a 14 on astral sight there.
yeah, that's the very first thing is molehills shouldn't have a pattern. Not for their home. A mole might have a pattern, but a mole's home doesn't have a pattern.
That is interesting.
What?
Did you follow along with us?
Well, I didn't really have anything else to do.
I was say, if not, I was gonna send for you to come out here and take a look at this thing with me, because you're the other
Right.
one with astral sight. Take a look at that the molehill astrally.
The molehill?
Yes.
I mean, molehill shouldn't have a pattern. Why would? I'll take a look at it.
Yeah, it shouldn't have a pattern, so why am I looking at it astrally? Because that's weird.
I got 19.
That is weird, and that does have a pattern. Why does that have a pattern?
Is this like Is this some sort of spell or magical pattern?
Magical theory.
Oh, good magical theory. I'm
What?
a Viking in magical theory.
I'm not as good at it, but I do have it.
And you're both welcome to roll it.
I'm gonna throw some karma on that.
I too will throw a little bit of karma on this.
I got a 13.
Okay, hang on. Okay, I got 31.
Well, good darn. See, that was clean. On a 19, the very first thing that you come up with is it is a pattern, but it's not like a spell pattern. It's more like the closest you can come up with is sometimes items have a pattern, like a magical item, and the pattern feels more like that than it does a spell. Now, Weymont, 31. Dear goodness. There's a couple of
Told ya,
things about
Viking.
it's not an item, it's a place. And you've seen this before, it's not as common. Place has a pattern. This molehill has its own pattern. And what feels weird about it is it feels something about the pattern isn't what you would say is normal, right? Not what you're used to seeing. There's something about the way the pattern is structured. Also, the pattern feels old, which is kind of a weird concept because magic itself right now hasn't been all that long. It's not that old. But it feels something off, definitely a place, and old. Actually, I'm going to give you another one really quick. I don't know. No, I'm going to leave it where it is. All right. What do you guys want to do now?
That's weird.
I mean, well, if nothing else, I asked the servant if they have a little saucer I can borrow.
Sure. They'll be happy to go get one.
I put out a dish of milk for the Fae next to the entrance to Underhill, as I think of it.
The staff thinks that you're off, but they don't say or do anything that would, you know.
There's no superstitious Brits.
That's a lie.
Of course not. Of course not. They're just stitious.
Brits, I'm sure. That doesn't mean that some of the staff isn't going to look at you weird that you put a saucer of milk by a hole in the ground. I'm just saying. All right. Now, what are you guys going to do? What are you talking about? Are you going to go back and
August, is there a way for you to do a bit of research and see if back in the day there was superstitions about I don't know if it's a stand in circle or old legends about this property? Because that's if you say it's old magic, Either it's mobile or it's been around here for a while.
I was under the impression I was in with Morgana talking to the bride, but
Yeah,
that's certainly
Weymont,
something.
Weymont
Oh,
and
sorry,
Nigel were
I was
outside.
confused. Yeah, I was confused. I'm so sorry. And
No,
actually,
it's fine.
Mac would not know this because Mac's in bodyguard mode for Morgana anyway. So apologies, that was inappropriate.
So Mac is inside. My spellcasters and the bird are out.
Well, if you got to pick one. You're either inside with Morgana or you're outside putting the saucer of milk out.
That I agree. That was inappropriate. I would
Okay.
not leave bodyguard duty. I thought everybody was together. I misunderstood.
I was figuring the mages were going out looking,
If it makes you feel
doing
better,
things while we were talking to Laura.
so it happens. So the mages and the bird are outside. Everybody else is inside. Correct?
That sounds
Yes,
like
I
what I was
believe so.
expecting it to be.
That's what I thought.
Leave the mages to ponder the weird hole with the bird, who is also pondering said weird hole. And Laura is, in all truth, she's about half the size of Mac. She's not necessarily half the height of Mac, but she's probably about half of the physical mass of Mac. Her horns are not as curly as you see a lot of them. These are actually more almost gazelle kind of straight back horns. It actually kind of gives her kind of an almost foresty, I don't know how to, like regal look to it.
She's quite elegant,
Yeah,
for elegant and
troll.
willowy for a troll.
Really
Statuesque.
statuesque and kind of elegant. And because the horns are kind of swept back more, she doesn't have as much trouble getting into some of the shorter ways, even though she is fairly, I mean, she's obviously a troll, she's still fairly tall. She also seems to not have many footprints, but if you notice, they missed a button. Like it's like she probably did have many footprints, but then she went to change before she saw all of you. And since she was doing it in a rush, whoever her lady's maid was like missed a little pearl button here or there somewhere. So it's one of those, we look really elegant, but if you look really closely, you notice that she changed clothes in a rush to come down here. And she's young. She is barely an adult. But I mean, that puts her at somewhere between 18 and 22.
Yeah.
She very much is. I'm so glad you could come. I know Aunt Phoebe said she would talk to you, but I am so glad. This and the sweet hand gesture in the room that you guys were in that had nothing happen because all of the dogs were outside of this room. This is the other thing I'm talking about. Suddenly, all the hounds are loose. I've lived in this home my entire life, and the hounds have never just gotten loose.
It's certainly strange, and I think we have a number of theories we're going to explore in this. Could you tell us what else has happened, even little things that might not be related? The more information we have, the better we tend to work.
So when she starts adding little things, like one shoe would go missing for a week. Gloves disappeared. And I mean, according to her and somewhat what Phoebe had said, that's not normal. Things go missing in households, they do. But they have a staff. She has like a lady's maid who helps her get dressed, helps her undress. Those things are always put away properly. Yes, it's possible that somebody missed or made a mistake, but typically speaking, it's always corrected really quickly. It just isn't a big thing. But her favorite gloves have gone missing. She had there's been another thing with the wedding dress. So first off, it was somebody splattered dirt on it while it was in a closet. Then the veil was somehow torn for no reason. Now some of the buttons on the back have gone missing and they've had those redone. Let's see. There's been like the dog being let loose. Her favorite vase in her bedroom that was knocked over. You know, everyone's like, well, it must have been the wind blew hard enough and, you know, something, or, but nobody was apparently near it when it fell. Most of the things, according to her, seem to go with her in the wedding. You know, she'll say things like, my mother's shoes don't go missing, but mine did. You know, my father's, you know, has a case where he keeps his cigars that has a glass lid. Does that get knocked off and broken? No. But her favorite vase, it's
Has this all started since you became engaged? Or did it start sooner
month.
than that?
No, I mean, it was about the
Just the
time.
last month.
Matter of fact, it's been the
The
strangest thing we've
invitations.
gotten. Yes, invitations for the wedding.
I'm sure my friends and colleagues will be able to shed more light on this once they've investigated matters, but I grew up on rural estates in a rural estate in Staffordshire, and I know some of the locals were, well, you hear stories, and my father's manservant is a very superstitious man and always used to tell stories of fae and how they could be tricksy even before they started appearing properly.
You think that
Perhaps.
Faye is mad that I'm getting married?
I think a fae may be upset that you forgot to invite them if they've been acting as a friend of the family. I know it sounds crazed, but really it's fairly simple compared to some of the other things we've encountered.
She's like, is that actually a possibility?
Based on long experience with fae turned to August, I think we shouldn't discount anything as a possibility. Do you agree, my friend?
Well, we should definitely keep an open mind for it. It's definitely
How do I
an
invite
answer.
Faye that I don't know to my wedding?
First, I
Well,
presume
we will
Uh,
investigate and find out if that is the case, and then we can invite them properly.
we will find out their address, and you can have an invitation delivered. I'm pretty sure that's the same way as anyone else, but
Mac will clear his throat. If you're nay, I'm not going to say this properly, but if you're not respecting the Fae and putting out offerings during a big change, that can cause a disruption. But they love music. So if you're thinking of giving them an invite where they'd hear the blessing of music out by the or here at the during the wedding, generally that sort of celebration goes a long way to ease intentions. But if
yes,
you
and
don't mind
I've
me asking, if you don't mind me asking, you're you're a little bit different sort of troll than I am. I'm a Fomarian from up in Scotland. Do you know your heritage, or what part of the family brought out the change in you?
Okay, so a couple of things. August, an empathic sense, she's pretty honest, very flustered. At the mention of all the fan stuff, you get a little bit of a mixed emotion, some trepidation because it's something she doesn't know and she's not sure. There's a little bit of, are they joshing me? You know, are they joking with me on this?
Mhm.
And then there's a little bit of fear, like, oh my God, what if it is a fae? What if a fae is going to ruin my wedding? How do you fix a fae? You know, very young person wound energy. Does that make
Yeah.
sense?
Yeah.
But nothing hostile, nothing holding stuff back, nothing like that.
Okay.
Morgana is being as reassuring and not, trying to make it clear that this is if this is the case, this should be something we can deal with, and we will sort it out. And
So
we'll
Yeah,
ask her about, if it calms her, ask her about plans for the wedding and anything of that, and
okay.
going forward. Because the more information we have that we can provide for this, the generally the better.
I will come back to that because she does have some information about how the wedding's supposed to go.
Yeah.
I'm going to tap you in. As far as I understood with 1879 and where you guys are at ish time wise, where we're at time wise, she was sick with looking glass fever and she woke up like this. She would have no idea about
Unless there's family mythology like Mac's family clearly
right.
has, I would have thought. It's
Yeah.
they haven't hit a point where there's any obvious pattern to the awakening. It is fairly random. I believe
Yes.
somewhere in one of the books there's a music hall song about how everybody's changed in height and shape because half the family went boojum and they're all different sorts now.
Right.
But it's entirely appropriate that somebody from a Scots family would have history with the Fae because, basically all Scottish music is either the Fae stole all of my sheep or the English stole all of my sheep. And I know which of those is considered more villainous.
I think the tone I would take in the role play with this young lady, Laura, is I am a troll. I am a solid guy. You can come to me with questions. I'm reassuring. I'm protective. I'm being very clear that if she's feeling isolated about some of the things that come with the change, that I'm willing to listen and share what I've figured out. But I'm still also trying to kind
I'm
of
sure that
figure
I
out
didn't give you
where she came
information
from.
on the one part because
I-
she doesn't have any idea on any of that. She
That's the
does
vibe
say
I was getting.
she is appreciative of the offer, and then she kind of gives you this smile, and it's kind of a bashful smile, and she says, I hate to sound I feel like as far as having gone through the change, mine has been easier than most who well, I I've heard stories of others who had a much worse time, as well as the change was, let's just say, harder for others to view them as than mine has been.
You are spot on.
Honestly, I feel like I've been very blessed in how this has happened, for how these things go. Even my sickness wasn't nearly as bad as some.
Well,
It's
you you have some of the characteristics of trow, if you'd never heard the term before, which is a variety of the old folk. And you this wedding, your change, and then the wedding, and the changes that come from the wedding, may be drawing the fae to you as well. So, my only comment with this is, um, you may need to let go of some things that the way you thought of things before, because there's more aspects to the change than just the physical. And embracing that and flowing with that and being gentle with that as you integrate that part of your nature with your life going forward, especially when you bring a husband in and maybe children if you're blessed one day. You understanding can be helpful. So don't be hard on yourself, and just know that this could be another facet of what you're going through.
and the Fae can choose anyone to take an interest in.
She looks at Morgana to a certain degree because Morgana's another woman.
Yeah,
And obviously of a certain class, right?
yeah.
And it's the askance look. Even August, because you've been kind of empathically checking in on this. It's this
Mhm.
whole, is this right? Do I have more to worry about? There's, the- you know, especially the
I
mention of children. Already in this time period, children are dicey because women die in labor. A lot modernly, we think, and also because there's a lot of how does that work? What if the baby has horns? Like, I'm sure that we've had some births by Boojum at this point.
yes, yeah.
They should make her feel less worried, but it's still early enough that I would say, and Brad and you guys can correct me, that that is a fear. That's an inner fear for probably women in this time period. You know, what if you have a troll baby? What if you don't have a troll baby? What if you have a dwarf baby? How does that work? But you seem to
Morgana,
look for some sort of probably reassurance.
Morgana will reach out to take a hand and be. It is. I, like you, was lucky in how the change took me. It is something the entire world is discovering as we go on, but there are good people. I've heard enough stories to tales of troll ladies giving birth and there being no problems, and it will all be dealt with.
Mac will say it. You can't change what the good Lord puts in front of you, but you can face it together. Know you're not alone, and that you've got folks doing the best to help you ease through the bumps.
I'm lucky enough to know a couple of doctors who specialize in those of us who've gone through the change. I will be sure to put any. I can happily provide recommendations should you need them. And one of them is a lady doctor of very good character.
And she'll smile. And this doesn't feel magical, but when she smiles, this is a radiant young lady who's about to get married, and the smile kind of shines.
Yeah.
Hey, oh my God, magic way, just kind of shines. So
Morgana will smile at her and assure her that she's going to be the envy of every bride being married this summer.
you should see my dress once they get the buttons back on. Once they get the buttons back on.
Morgana will smile. My mother is desperately hoping if I ever get married, I'll wear hers. But given she's 5 foot tall on a good day, it's going to be interesting how well that will fit me.
And she laughs. And she goes, and she kind of just gestures at herself. There's no way I could have worn my mother's dress.
Well,
My
ladies are
mother
wearing much shorter skirts these days, despite what some people say, but probably not for your wedding.
She's like, my mother brought in a designer from France.
Ooh,
I'm told that I will be the rage of the season.
I'm sure you will.
I mean, I'm definitely
You're
taller
hardly going
than
to disappear into the crowd.
most of the season.
She smiles.
By this
Morgana
point,
will smile.
oh, sorry, go ahead.
I'm sure you must be very lucky. I'm taller than most, but there's plenty of men who are worried about my height making them look small. With yours, you must have found a very decent gentleman.
Oh, Devin is well tall from people before the change for a normal man, but I've got a good foot on him. Plus,
So, and is any man who's really bothered by such things worth bothering with?
not Devin. He said beautiful, horns and all. So by this point, the mages should be able to come back in if they want, or they can stay outside and hope that the others join them. What am I making?
Yeah, I think before we investigate into the hole further, we should get everybody gathered. You concur, Weymont?
I agree.
Okay.
Something strange is going on here.
Let's
So
head in then.
yes, I believe, but it's one of those things that's kind of the something old, something new, something blue type of thing, where it doesn't have to be in a seen part of the dress. It could be in a pouch that's in the under part. It could be in part of the underdress. It counts as part of the something old, which is a lot of the reason also financially why women would wear like their mother's dresses. One, it was a lot cheaper than buying a new dress, and
It was old
two,
and it was borrowed.
something borrowed and something old. something old, something new, something borrowed, something blue. So the only thing it almost covered everything except for blue. It was old, it was borrowed, and you made it into something new. If it didn't fit and you had to make it, but yes.
Yeah. And an
Um,
awful lot of those are generally considered to be covered by items of underwear rather than the outward dress is the other thing. Because I
yeah.
looked that up myself recently as well for some random reason.
Did you? See, I knew that they used a lot of times when they would take that, because that fabric was still good, they would put it into something like the underdress part.
Yes, yeah.
That was a very common thing, but it's really unusual that people know that. I mean, I'm assuming you looked it up. That's why you know it. But
Yeah.
close to you, Drew. Give yourself an extra 100 XP because that is an uncommon bit of lore.
You don't know many gay men.
Sorry, what was that, Drew?
Oh, I was just saying you don't know enough gay men.
I do, but I'm in the middle of nowhere land where nobody knows this stuff. Okay.
When you've helped get a gal through your second or third gal through a tumultuous wedding as a gay guy, you learn a thing or two you never knew.
I'm the female friend who has to take them all to get properly sized for bras because it turns out most of the US can't find the right bra size. They're always making the band bigger and the cup smaller, which is completely ass
If
backwards.
if we
It's
ever
That
same in
much,
the UK.
that much I
if we
know.
ever-
That yeah, no, they need to get like actually fitted for one properly.
Well, most women don't know that, and they don't know how to fit it properly. But I will say that this is why I've seen most of my female friends' boobs. I've seen almost all of them because I've helped fit them, especially if they're going through a wedding. Like all of a sudden,
That
I'm
whole
very
part with the structure I know because I make chainmail.
Okay, Andy, I want you to picture a get together with a bunch of gals and a bunch of drag queens for bra fittings and being the bartender. Okay.
okay. How about this? I years ago when I was in college had a friend who was a drag queen, and I would go with, and it takes a very long time to do all the makeup and stuff. But apparently, handing over tape for tucking became a thing, and there are some lines, but apparently those got crossed too. So yes, I feel you. Just so you know. Okay.
It's all
So
good. Moving on.
good. But still, that is an unusual bit of lore for someone to know, and I'm impressed. All right. So you guys come back in as Laura's about to explain what the vision, quote unquote, for the wedding is. And it basically starts early that morning. They're both going to get into separate carriages. He's supposed to be at the little parish church, the little small church that their family usually attend. Um, shows up after. It's a very, very close knit family. Basically, the parents, the aunts, siblings. Then they're going to come back here and like it's a procession, it's a parade basically, and they're going to have a big thing out in the back gardens. The tents will be put up in about a week. Everything gets decorated. They're bringing in chairs and tables and musicians, you name it, whole thing out in the back gardens. So you guys come in as she's explaining that, and basically, so you guys will have heard that that's the general gist for the plan for the wedding. But they'll do the dancing and the cake cutting and all that out in the tents in the backyard. So I will leave it to you guys to explain what you found in the gardens.
I was gonna say, well, speaking of the back garden, we may want to have everybody come out and take a look at this. We found an unusual mole hole.
Might it be a connection to fairy?
Possibly.
Could be. It's certainly
Excellent.
magical.
My dear, if you'd excuse us, we need to go have a look at this, and we will hopefully be able to sort matters out. But you must tell me more.
Actually, it might be best if she comes with, if we need to make introductions.
That may be reasonable. We had thought, just as an idea, that issue might be if it was a fairy, it might be upset because it hasn't been invited. The incident started just after the invites were sent out.
I'll
And
go
I
and have
see-
a look, and then if we need to, we can ask Miss Laura to come outside.
I think that would be the safest thing to do.
Uh-huh.
Is there a family member or a servant who knows the history of the house going back?
She will say that as far as she knows, the Butler's family has basically been the butlers for the household. They've only been the family's butler for the last 50 years or so.
Okay,
But
I'll
they had butlers for this particular house for probably a century and a half.
I'll suggest, Mac, that we shelve that for the moment and come back to it.
sure.
It's definitely worth exploring.
But it wouldn't be a bad idea to put the question to them so they can start prepping things, and then we can find out
Yes.
more when we come back in.
Mm-hmm.
Good thought, yes.
All right, so you guys are going out into the back to the small hill.
After making a polite request that at some point we would like to discuss with the butler some of the history of the house.
Laura is of the opinion that you guys can have anything you want if you will make it so that her wedding isn't a disaster. All right, you guys go out, and it is a proper English garden. It is very pretty. It has obviously been well maintained and well loved. And to a degree, you can see where they've already started some preparations to, like that's going to be where the tents are at. This is going to be where you can even see where they've cleaned it up and edged it out a little bit more so that there's more space back here for a large wedding connection. Wow, River.
Hey, she was promised anything she wanted.
I mean, if you wanted to see them, I'm sure she'd let you see them, but she will question why you didn't need wedding.
Let's be honest, it could have been worse.
So you guys are now all out in the back, very pretty garden, lots of roses, very colorful. And these are English roses. These are old English roses. So they're the big bushes, not the spindly. And I don't know if you guys have seen the American newer roses where they're very spindly versus the big full bushy roses that are the old English. There's roses too, but mostly okay. Anyhow, roses. Silly me. You guys are out there. There's a hole. What are you doing?
That's a very nice hole.
Well, given that nobody else is able to see astrally with the hole, and to their appearances it just looks like a hole, I'm gonna try knocking at the hole.
So, gentlemen,
I
what are we
was
looking
See
at?
if we get an interaction here.
I was gonna say, we can always have the one that carries the most iron do it.
All right, so you kind of like knock on the ground. Do you say anything or just kind of knock?
I'll just basically knock and
No,
with
no,
the
nay, no. We put out a saucer of milk, and we, to the best of his ability, if no one else is musically inclined, I'll hum a little happy song from up on the islands, and we act very reverent and polite as we knock on the doors of would it be Shebeg, the little hill.
Okay. So you go to knock on it. He puts out a dish with some milk and starts to hum a cheerful tune. Can you
I'm
say
not
anything,
stopping him.
Nigel?
I'm listening, but I couldn't hear
You-
if you were asking before, though.
Sorry. So Mac has put out a saucer. He's humming a happy tune. You knock. Do you say anything when you knock?
No, I'm not intending to say anything. Just with the intention, just knocking with the intent of finding out is anybody home, that sort of a thing.
So a rock comes out of the hole. Nigel, I need a perception awareness type of thing.
Okay, 1 second. It's not the right one. This is what we need. Oh wait, that was wrong by. That would be a 9.
Okay.
Actually, you know what? Hold on, let me throw karma on this. How much better? 11.
Okay. So the rock is about the size of a large marble, and you really feel like with how the projection of it wasn't thrown at you. It was thrown at your bird. Mac, you speak actual Gaelic, correct?
I do.
You pretty much hear something from a grumbly old man voice that's something like, nope, not getting eaten by that.
Oh, I will translate that for Nigel. That's your bird, or is that Wayland's?
No, he's mine.
Nigel's.
Nigel's. Okay, I'll translate that for him, and I will in Gaelic. I will apologize to the wee folk for the misunderstanding and ask Nigel if he'll ask the bird to move away or take the bird away or do something so that we might make the fella feel safe. It was a male voice, right?
Yes.
Gotcha.
If he understands, I don't know if you can translate for me that he's my familiar. He won't, I can instruct him not to eat anything that comes
I,
out.
I understand. I understand that, and I'll explain that to him. But I think having the bird perch back a ways to make him feel more comfortable might help with the conversation.
Well, the bird's perched on my shoulder, so I'll just step to the back of the group.
However you want to do it, you've been informed.
If that's acceptable, we'll see what he says.
Yeah.
All right. So what do you say back in Gaelic?
In Gaelic, I say the fellow with the bird says it's his familiar, and we promise you no harm. And he stepped back to make you feel a little bit more comfortable. Would you be so kind as to chat with us for a bit about what's been going on? And I'll translate that to the party. I'll play translator back and forth to facilitate.
So there feels like the ground moves a little under you guys. Not like an earthquake, but weird. And then this head that doesn't fit in the hole seems to kind of poke out from the hole. And it's very blinky. Says something about too bright.
Oh,
I will open my parasol. Does it say that in English?
Yeah, he actually does say it in English.
I will open my parasol and shade him.
Now this it's back in Gaelic, but it's basically translates loosely into a blessing on you and your kindness. And Matt can translate if he chooses.
cool. I will respond in kind, and to you in your house.
Why you bring Hunter to my home?
Is he talking about the bird? Is that the context?
Indeed, talking.
I'm sorry, Andy, you're breaking up a little bit, and I'm only catching a couple of words here. I
Sorry.
apologize.
No, I'm sorry. I'll try again. Yes, it's talking about the bird.
I was talking about the bird. I'll explain. The mage and the familiar are always kind of stuck together. It is what it is. You know what But
He basically mumbled.
go ahead.
He basically mumbled about he didn't take a troll hunter to your house.
Well, that is good point. We'll be quite careful anytime we're on your land with the bird. The beagles don't bother you.
Nah.
Fair.
Those hunt
Um,
foxes.
Oh, all right. So
You
what?
can let it, if this is being translated for us, the bird mostly hunts cats.
I'll share that. That's what it's a hunter of. But what's been happening with the crazy to do in the house?
He looks at Nigel and goes, "If ye think that, you don't know what you have."
Ooh, I translate that for Nigel. So what is it? If he knows, I'll ask.
The best translation you're going to kind of patch together from some very old Gaelic is basically a wee person hunter. He basically
Oh,
refers to a fae hunter.
gotcha. So like a vampire hunter, but for Fae. I'll
So
pass that along and say, well, let's keep that back. But go back to the topic at hand. What's going on with the house?
so he switches back into English, but it's fairly heavily accented. He goes, "My family has taken care of this land and its people, and we disturbed my home, and I'm not even invited."
Oh, well, we were
Of
just speaking.
course,
Oh, go ahead, Morgana. I'll translate as needed. But go ahead.
Smile. Of course, it's an oversight and one that will be corrected as quickly as we can make it corrected. We offer apologies on their behalf. Your arrival in such a proper way is something that's taking us all by surprise, and some of the proper forms are being missed because of this. And it is a wedding. They're very excited. People are very excited, and we will correct the mistake and make sure that you are properly invited and informed of matters. I'm sure the bride would love to tell you her plans for a wedding and
Yeah. And as I
have
translate
her,
that, oh, sorry.
her local guardian involved.
As I translate that, I'm also going to truthfully let the Fae know that we were just talking about that in the house and how we wanted to make sure they got an invitation and also some music for them as part of the festivities and dancing on the land. So, because that's truthful, we'll do that. How does he prefer to be called for the invitation?
So he basically grumbles about taking care of and finding lost toys and having always been there, but some of the people he's talking about are clearly not this family.
Okay.
And the impression you get from him, Matt, is that he didn't just arrive. He's
Oh,
always
yeah.
been here, according to him. Now, understand, and I think Mac's character kind of has more ebb and flow with this.
Yeah.
That time with Faye is a little wibbly wobbly. As far as that, honestly, it's a brownie. As far as the brownie is concerned, he was never not here.
Uh-huh.
Now, that may or may not be true for the mortal timeline,
Mm-hmm.
but as far as he's concerned, he was always here. And he says that that you guys can call him Grumio.
Brunio?
Mhm.
And you mentioned that your family, they also should be on the invitation.
Well, of course, you wouldn't leave my wife and children out.
Yeah. Do you want them listed on the invitation? Would that be nice for them, or just you and family?
Honestly, either way on that, he'll give you their names.
All right.
Apparently, he has a wife and 3 children. And he'll
Okay.
actually tell you they've done things too. They've helped the family forever.
Hmm.
Think found this or that, and it's a bunch of little tiny
I,
things that you probably would never have thought of.
Okay.
The off key that shows up in your pocket type of thing.
Okay.
yes,
Is there?
Morgana will assure him that the family were truly grateful that any failure to properly address those thanks was a failure on their part, and we are sure they will be happy to correct that going forward. They have truly been grateful for the blessings you and your family have given them.
No, they haven't.
They they they
You
just
have
didn't know where to deliver it to.
There have been no gifts for all of our good deeds. Not one.
Then we will see to correcting that.
And an apology. Is there anything? Do you need? Because this is a cultural difference. Is there anything that should be part of your inclusion with the wedding that we just wouldn't know, that you can explain to us so we can make sure it's taken care of?
They like the idea of good music. You are correct. Mostly they just bite.
Well, a fiddler is the traditional one. We'll make sure one of those is included. Um, uh, okay, this was very, very, very helpful, Brunio. And
If
would you?
it's required, Morgana will sort of take some notes and do the proper diplomatic envoy thing of organizing what would be an appropriate um, recompense for missed thank or missed gratitude.
And
I
honestly,
do.
go ahead, Mac.
I I had a question. Up in Scotland, there's a taboo where the family cannot see the brownie. Um, is there? How is that handled here in Britain for your territory and your land?
Oh, they still never see us.
Okay, so
We're
so
not.
little offerings should be left here by the borough, and we'll put a little garden around it or something, but we'll make sure that you have your privacy, but you can hear the music and the dancing and laughter from the wedding. Is that the appropriate way to do this?
Yes.
Okay, that's clear.
Although programs can be left in the house too. They're
Yeah,
just
okay.
usually at like nighttime when people are asleep.
All right, got it. Okay. Can you tell me anything about Laura's heritage? She went through the change and became a troll. I'm Fomorian. Do you know what variety she is from your years of experience and wisdom?
He kind of shrugs at you and shouldn't her fiance tell her?
Why would her fiance know?
Well, I mean, he's a prince and all.
He's a prince? Okay.
Well, of course he is.
Yes.
I mean, she's a princess, so therefore he'd have to be a prince.
What is her she's a princess of what?
I'm
You
sure.
didn't know that.
Well, I mean, she's not Fae, but when they get married, she'll become true Fae.
She's a Fey princess and it's evolving for her, huh?
Well, once she marries the Fae prince, why why wouldn't he have told her all of this?
Okay. We have
It
not
may
yet met Devon.
it may have slipped his mind.
Matt, do an intelligence. Sorry, perception.
Intelligence? Yeah, I can do that. Perception, is that what that is in this game?
Perception. If
Yeah.
you have it, first throw that at it.
All right.
Otherwise,
Okay, gotta get my dice out here.
yep.
I got a 9 on a D10, and then if I throw a karma, what's a karma at this point? D4?
D6s.
Oh, I thought karma were D4.
No,
That's what I
it's
wrote.
we're
Oh, right, that's right. I was
oh
throwing
yeah,
it. Sorry,
yeah.
my bad.
I
Yeah.
just run all of 1879 with everyone D6s.
Oh, and I got a 4 that I re-roll. So, and a 4, and a 4. and a 1. So 12, 13, and 9 makes 22.
That's really, really good. There is no way from anything, and Price would have said if she had known anything about any Fae connection.
Yeah. Yeah.
No way in heck Devin is a Fae prince.
Okay.
Who knew? He's,
Now, I hate to ask the obvious follow-up question, but Brunio, I am so sorry that we did not know this, but I do not wish the Lovin couple to start off with faux pas from the prince's family side. Is there something we should know about protocol, gifts, procedure? How do we make sure things go smooth with the wedding if he's a prince and they don't know his heritage?
Well, of course the prince would know his heritage. I mean, none of this wedding seems right, but I mean, I guess if that's how she wants it, princess. My own wife wanted some crazy things at our wedding.
For us mortals, sometimes you don't know the entirety of your heritage. Records can be lost.
And he looks at you as if you said the silliest thing he's ever heard.
We are careless creatures.
And our memories are short and fickle.
Isn't immortal. That's silly. The princes are never mortal.
He just may have forgotten.
So, what house, what Fey house is the prince from? Do you know?
You want to know Celia, don't you?
I want to know what?
Sealy or unsealy?
Well, I don't judge that, but you as a brownie, I assume you're from the court of the light.
He nods. Our prince should be, but he's never even been here. I'm very confused with this whole wedding. I would have noticed if he'd been here. Can you imagine the trouble I would be in if we didn't properly treat a prince?
I understand. Well, we can make
Well, and
arrangements.
given everything that
Yeah.
given everything that has been forgotten in regard to yourself, I'm sure that faux pas will be forgiven by the families.
I'm more worried. All right. How stand things between the Sealy and unsealy right now?
No, they've always been.
Oh boy. Okay.
The
All right.
always been one. Right? Dark, most must exist, and both must fight. By the way, Titania, he also blesses you and thanks you for the treat.
I figured it was the best thing to do because food always solves everything, but lead doesn't.
It does, but it doesn't. August, roll
Mhm.
up. Any Fey knowledge can be added to this.
I have no Fey knowledge whatsoever.
Let's don't.
I'm just going to say, out of character, the brownie thinks the family he protects has a princess in it, so she must be marrying a prince. He hasn't noted the prince turning up because Devon turned up.
Hold on. He says that she becomes a princess when she marries the prince.
Yeah.
So he thinks that Devon is the prince.
Oh, what's your roll on that perception there, August?
Step 7. Hang on. D12. Go action D12. Play nice. 9.
9.
Mm-hmm.
I think Mac is already starting to piece some of this together. Devon is not a Fey prince. Devon has been here before.
Yeah.
So the Brunio thinks she's marrying the Fey Prince when she's actually marrying someone different, Devon.
Yes.
And why does he think the prince is marrying Laura?
You'd have to ask him.
Yes, that is
Uh,
something you could probably just interpret. So yeah, I would say, hey, Brunio, right?
And he gives kind of a nod because the only thing out of the hole is his head. He said that you
So
guys have been talking to this brownie's head the entire time. But yes.
That's
so
fine.
what's this Fey Prince's name?
That don't ask for his name.
No. Hold on, hang with me. What is this prince known as? What is he called?
And he goes, that I can answer. He's known as the Prince of the Hunt.
As in the Wild Hunt?
And he
Okay.
winks. She's a lucky princess.
oh boy.
Are you sure
That's
you have the right bride, Grumio?
Well, how would I make a mistake on that? That would be a horrible mistake to make.
Indeed, it would. However, the families have moved around
Well, when would
on
that have
our
happened?
side. On our side.
Well, when would that have happened? I've been here the whole time. Personally,
Perhaps
or
she
through
was
her.
sleeping.
You can't move a whole family while I'm sleeping. I was personally with her when she was ill to make sure that no harm became the princess while she became ready for the prince.
May have been something that happened in her parents' day or even their grandparents.
No, the Looking Glass fever.
Exactly.
I know that I know no sorry, I know exactly what he was referring to then, but we're talking about the changing of the family. So if the original family were this prince and princess were royalty, if new people are in the house is what I think we're getting at here.
Yes.
I
The
say,
people in the house is a different family.
but then
Yes.
she had become ready for the prince.
I will gesture to myself, changes happen to many of us.
No, you guys were like that before.
When I
I may
did
have
my
been like this. I didn't look that way.
when I did my civil engineering on the house earlier, did I get an idea of how old the construction on the house is?
Oh, the house itself is probably a few hundred years old, but if you do another one real quick, 'cause you were inside the house. The first one was done outside. And you've now been all the way inside, outside it,
17.
So the house itself is probably only a couple, 300 years old, but there's some outbuildings. And you think that there's a possibility that there might have even been a building that was then built and added onto. But like the building that's being used as a kennel is way older, like 7, 8, 900 years old. It's been repaired through the ages, but there's some much older buildings out here, smaller buildings.
So I
I
will
wonder.
ask Grumio, if you take a look around the grounds, do the buildings seem to be in the same spots that you remember and have the same appearance?
Well, no, they changed the house and it had to be a 6 feet of magic. Because they did it really fast. I don't even remember them doing it.
Time passes differently in your realm than it does ours, but are you able to keep track of time in our realm?
He he looks at you, and the look is one of those. Of course I can, but I'm not even going to make you roll for it. There's that other look that you're noticing behind the "of course I can" look, which is the wait. They're different. How does that work? I don't know.
What?
But he's definitely trying to come off mature. We'll say that.
See, what's a gentle way to put this?
I fear it has been a case of mistaken identities due to the time slip between our two realms.
Which would also explain the terrible lack of proper gratitude.
Indeed.
So, you guys want to take a minute and think about how you're going to deal with it? Him? And I will throw in the is still the monkey wrench of he's convinced because apparently she changed in a way that, according to him, prepares her to be a Fey bride. And Mac has noticed that she is not traditional and looks for most trolls.
Yeah, it's at least according to the old lore. This is Drew talking, not well, I don't know, whatever, however much Mac knows about this crap from his grand, but the land prepares a bride um from the energy of the land, and then the wild hunt comes and takes her. And then there's a whole variety of stories about what happens to the bride should she be barren. So it's life or death once they're taken. If within a certain amount of time she does not produce new life, which has
Yeah.
various derivative things to it, and if not, her fate is not a good one. This is not good.
Has to Grumio, has the Prince of the Hunt? You said he hasn't been here because you'd have greeted him. Yes. Has he been doing anything here or sending his servants here?
Sorry, what was that? I left him. Where did Joel go? Man down, man down.
Has he been sending servants here?
No,
He's
Grumio,
just dropped out.
that's very odd because she's been prepared, and apparently there's a wedding being prepared, but nothing from the groom yet. It's very odd.
I think
Proper. Not
that
proper at all.
you can have our word for it that her groom has been doing everything that he should.
Now, don't give your word to the Fae like that when we don't think he means the same groom that we
Yeah.
mean.
No.
I
Yes,
just
that would be known as a
No,
bad
yes,
idea.
fair point. Yes, yeah.
I didn't mean to interrupt, but that's not
No, that's Morgana will be happily interrupted on that one.
yeah. The thing is, like, the bride is more of a sacrifice to the hunt than she is a bride unless she proves her fertility. So, like, this is not a consensual in those times. This was not a consensual things. This is more of a kidnapping.
They take people. The wedding is being prepared for. We know who the groom is.
We know
We have
the
no sign that the prince or any of his people have turned up yet. It's the brownie who's assuming they're going to, which doesn't necessarily mean they will.
I think it needs to be sorted out before the wedding, because the bride should not
yes.
be. In fact, that might be the route to safety for her personally, but it would be a disaster for the family. Because if she's not suitable as a bride, if she's the intended sacrifice because she's married, then the wild hunt expresses its displeasure.
However, there is still the concept that he may have helped prepare her, but she's not who was supposed to have been prepared.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I'm not saying or how, I'm just saying that was still on the table.
So, does he know the name of the family that he remembers from before the sleep?
Let me roll.
If we can match up a daughter of that house who is, stands a chance and chooses that life to get out of whatever situation she's in, maybe we can match things up.
He is not sure. I will say, however, the butler would know what families have been here. But
Okay.
Romeo doesn't. In all truth, he might know first names best. They're all very. I hate to be this way, but it's very convoluted. His timeline doesn't seem to be as linear as your guys's.
Oh, I know. How about Grumio? Would you recognize the true bride of descent if we introduced her to you as a confirmation?
Well, he puffered a bit at that, as if he already got the bride ready. I mean, true bride.
We think there might have been a change of families.
He seems, I don't know how to put it, concerned that he could have made some type of mistake like that. That would be a big.
Well, I will position it that we will help him get the mistake sorted out before the Fey Prince learns anything about this and there's any repercussions for the brownies. We'll get it sorted out.
Yes.
He's willing to listen, and he's willing to forgive as long as they do the proper thank yous and that they're invited to the wedding.
Yeah,
But
we have.
he's pretty sure he wouldn't have made a mistake that big. That's a big mistake.
Okay. Well, we're going to do some checking on what families were here from long ago and see if we can get the tangles straightened out, and we appreciate all of his help. Does anyone have anything else that needs translation to Grumio right
Has Grumio sent any word to the Prince of the Hunt about preparing his bride and looking after her?
I thought he was doing this in English.
Yeah.
now? Oh, I'm sorry.
He's
I misunderstood.
bouncing back and forth, so Matt can still do some translating.
Oh, right.
He seems
Okay, cool.
much like his timeline's a little wibbly wobbly. He's bouncing back and forth, and to a certain degree, Mackie will even have some trouble with some of the much older Gaelic that gets thrown in there. But thankfully, with enough, he can interpret it well enough.
Well, and like a lot of multilingual people, they'll tend to drop into the language that best suits what they're looking to say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And part of this, the more unsure he is, probably the more he goes into Gaelic and older Gaelic.
Oh, yeah.
So as has he sent word? The answer is basically boils down to he's too lowly to dare to approach him that minorly the Prince of the Wild or Prince of the Hunt.
That's probably a good thing because that will make it
Is one point of protocol though?
make it less problematic.
Is the Prince of the Sealy Court the Unseelie Court or beyond? with either the slough or above the courts that he's referring to.
So
The
Prince of the Hunt
of the Hunt.
would be above the slough. Or possibly the Beyond.
Because
the
the
Hunt
Court
is
of-
Seelie and
Court of-
Unseelie.
Yeah, the Court of Light and the Court of Dark are two of them, and then there's the slough is the nightmares, and the hunt is sometimes part of that, but they don't report up to either of the Beyond. So anyway, I just want to get some sense of where that prince is from. So it's the Prince of the Hunt, and he's kind of outside the order.
Is
the
definitely outside of the Seelie and Unseelie. There are connections with the Slough and the Beyond, but there's to say you got a very straightforward answer. Well, you're dealing with the Fae, so you do not.
You're right, exactly. It's not happening, right? Okay. Well, that's helpful for
So
some
that
other
it
stuff.
because the hunt occasionally has to hunt both of all
The light
of
and dark. Yeah. Yeah.
light, dark. The Slough occasionally has to go after nightmares and occasionally after the Beyond. So
Okay. All right. Well, we're checking the west side of the house for sure. Okay. Awesome. The plot got complicated. So just to summarize from Drew's notes here, we really need to find out who the quote unquote true bride is, and if this is something she would even want to do.
And
before we make any decisions beyond that. Is that
yeah,
anyone else have a more urgent follow-up than
we
that?
can certainly organise the proper appropriation of the local of Grumio and family and their invitation to the wedding, whoever is
Right.
getting married.
Well, the human wedding, I think we have a to-do list that someone was taking notes about.
Yeah,
You know, that can all get like knocked out because that's very doable and straightforward. The complexity is having the wild hunt attack the wedding for defiling the bride before the sacrifice is made or some crazy shit.
let's not say things like that before we know they're going to happen.
Yikes. Okay.
Maybe we can set the parrot on them if it comes Fae.
Probably join the hunt.
Maybe the parrot could be the bride. Sorry, Nigel. Is it a boy or girl parrot? I haven't asked.
it has a cloaca and feathers. Actually,
Morgana
Nigel,
has no skill in natural sciences.
Nigel gets to choose if it's a boy or a girl.
I thought we had established it was male.
I thought you had to, but
I think Morgana might not have paid attention because it's a ginormous, bloodthirsty parrot.
Yes, parrot.
that I ran a familiar, which was it's a specific type of vulture. I think it's a bearded vulture. They're like normally like 3 feet tall, almost. They're huge, right? And the person who had it, they named it Coco, so it was Coco. And when asked if Coco was a boy or a girl, it basically folded itself in half and said feathered. So
Well,
it's a bird.
And I thought we had established he was male because he hasn't laid an egg, and it's been long enough where he should have, if he was female.
So he is definitely a boy then, no egg. But apparently, at least the brownie thinks it can hunt Fae. And if you want to be honest about it, it went right basically there.
Gotta let him eat the dormice.
I had that thought when we were there.
But
There were a lot of dormice.
That would have been one happy death parrot.
On the other hand, another voyage over to Fredonia to visit the parrots.
We are not bringing more death parrots back.
I wasn't. I was going to take a mirror, show it to the parrots, and then create some sort of war between parrots and mice Fae. This is probably not an actual plan, just a thought.
Sweet.
it's a hilarious thought. Does that count? So,
Sick the parrots on
Have
the
you been into
mice.
your brother's?
Hey,
Have you been into your brother's pharmaceuticals, Morgana?
No, I'm just thinking of
Not-
that one
not
episode
this
of The
morning.
Simpsons, where they had the lizards coming that were eating all the bird eggs, and then like, well, then we're gonna to get rid of the lizards, then we're gonna bring in this sled of snakes, and then to get rid of the snakes, we're gonna bring in we've got a species of gorilla that's lined up.
Biological control, it never goes wrong.
There was
A
an
lot-
old woman who swallowed a fly.
easily fixable.
I don't know why.
Perhaps she'll die. Sorry, I'll
Um,
carry on.
sorry,
guys
I'm trying to find the note
You
link. Can
give
someone put that in
instructions
the chat?
as far as like gifts and the invitation and all of that. That part's very easy. So,
Yep.
who wants to be the one who informs them of the to-do list that they need to do to get the brownies back on their good side?
Can I suggest Morgana will do that while other people talk to the butler?
Roll, Morgana, roll in etiquette.
Actually, or diplomacy? Not that it makes any
Diplomacy,
difference.
diplomacy works too.
Given it's the same dice pool, I will roll etiquette on the grounds that I'm short on ticks and etiquette.
However, the difference between etiquette and diplomacy is whether you're rolling firearms or melee weapons.
17 on an etiquette roll.
Fabulous. They have a to-do list. They will start working on it right away.
Right.
They're even willing to build like little brownie size picture if you can remember how big brownies are, so that they can have and put it like a. They're talking about putting like a little pavilion out there for them and everything. Anything to
I-
make.
Morgana will act as a go-between between them and Grumio, just to make sure that's done okay. You're not going to take that wrongly, because it's a tiny tent. He could be insulted at the size of a small tent.
That's possible. So you
Not that
do.
Morgana's going to suggest that, but yeah, check that is the appropriate thing for them to do, or should they be more subtle about their
You do
acknowledgement of them?
a wonderful job of helping they get everything smoothed over on that part. All right. I'm going to guess, but you can correct me, that you guys are going to want to interview the butler because his family's been there a long time.
Mhm.
That was my suggestion while we did while Morgana does wedding arrangements.
Yeah, find out the history of the families that have lived in this house.
Sorry. General information you get is that the last family that was there for a long period of time was Griffiths. He knows about their shield symbols and all that. He politely says that basically the family fell on financial hard times
Mhm.
and to sell the family home as part of that. Basically, they have a title, but they have no money. And the last Griffiths to live here was probably 60, 70 years ago. And then the house was kind of up on market for a bit because it was a pricey house.
A large, expensive house. Does he know where the family went?
He doesn't know about
after
all of
the move?
them. Know that there was an older son who had gotten into shipping and was working as like an actual boat captain. But that was years ago. He thinks that he got married and had a home in London, but that was like a retirement home. This is like
Mhm.
stuff that his father told him, grandfather told him, type of thing.
Yeah.
So, ship captain, probably in London, not in the best neighborhood, but towards the docks. Could be something about maybe running barges on the Thames.
Okay.
But he's kind of sketchy on that because after the family moved, they kind of overall lost track of them.
Sure.
And the family in itself won't have wanted to be will have cut ties and not want to be reminded how far it has fallen and that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it tends to look well. My grandfather was wealthy as fuck, but then he gambled it all away on stupid stuff, and now we live in a 1-room shack. Yeah, no, people
Yeah.
don't like to talk.
Yeah.
No.
So, what do you want to do? I feel like the investigator is going to come into handy, but we don't have. Oh, we do have one. This is going to be a common joke
If
for the rest.
only we had one of those, right?
This is going to be a joke for the rest of this game. Wait,
Absolutely.
as an
Isn't it
investigator,
great?
what
How is it a game where we're playing investigators? We actually have an investigator.
crazy talk.
I mean, I could change profession, right? Not sure what
Give me a
to.
break. Give me a Brad a while to write some rules for how we'd actually get that to work in system first.
I could be a test case.
All right,
I
tell me where and
I-
what you're doing.
I apologize. I had to step away for a quick call there. You found the name of the family that was here before?
Yep.
Okay. And then we're trying to track them down. Is that what's going on?
That was probably going to be the next port of call. Yes.
Okay, cool. I'm caught up. Thank you. Oh, and you took care of the to-do list for the bride to
Yes.
Cool. All right. Lovely. Only thing that
No, nobody got my pun. I'm disappointed.
What was it again? Sorry.
That was going to be the next port of call.
Oh yeah, because of sailing. Yes, sorry. Yes,
Wow, you're all asleep.
I know. I'm sorry.
Rubbish.
I would
Sean.
like Mac would like to check the west side of the house and suggest that little horseshoe decorations would be a lovely touch to Laura or whoever could make arrangements to get those put in. The west side of the house has to have cold iron horseshoes.
Wouldn't that annoy the brownie?
It could be seen as insult.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good point. We'll just
Say
have
you-
we'll have to have a
say-
sack of those before the solstice.
Yeah, I was gonna say I won't say that it's safer. Right? It could insult the brownie, and 100 points for a wonderful pun for August, and 50 points for us not paying enough attention. Our apologies.
Joel usually picks up on them a lot quicker. That's all I was.
Yeah.
I
Sorry,
do
I was doing other bit.
Rude.
I'm multitasking.
Yeah,
And
well, so am I.
arranging wedding invitations.
Well, this Miss Phoebe's favor just got a lot bigger.
Oh, it's still just a little favor.
Well, yeah, but we kind of had the feeling that was going to happen anyway.
Point.
Yeah.
Well, she did say our salaries were being covered, so I was kind of expecting it to not be a small thing.
No.
Just saying.
Are we deliberately, as a team, gonna ignore checking out Devon? We're just gonna go and try to.
I
Yeah,
think
they're-
checking out Devon may be worthwhile just in case there is complications coming from that point.
Well, he's also at risk because if his betrothed is in the phase mind, belongs to the name that we will not speak from the Wild Hunt, this inconvenient upstart could be in danger. So
And
issues there.
we might get lucky. He might be handy with a sword.
I don't care
Also,
how good you are, you are not taking out the wild hunt that's been tried.
we do have 2 weeks.
Yeah,
No, we have slightly less. We have 2 days less.
only if we're assuming he's going to turn up on the solstice.
Okay.
I'm just saying. I'm not saying it's a bad. It's not a bad. Yeah, let's plan for this wild hunt guy turning up. But you might
Absolutely.
not know.
Yeah.
You might be
But
thinking, wait. Grumio is preparing your bride. Who told me? I didn't get a message. The family I'm supposed to marry live over here now.
Well, usually that was
Yeah.
tied to the land, so it'd be if
Yeah.
Gal wants to do it, bringing her back, and 2 days we'd have a second basically wedding with the wild hunt at the place on the land that the Lord of the Hunt expects, with the
Let's
bride
burn those.
willing. 2 days before they turn around and do another wedding.
I suppose we can look into these matters so that we've got them ready should we need to burn those bridges.
Yeah, and just as a follow-up point, if she's infused by the Fae with the substance of fairy, it's not. She's got other issues in the longer term, but she's got to get through this bump first.
That could just be madness on the part of the brownie. He's probably just helped her and done stuff. We just don't know. He's very confused. Not saying we shouldn't check, but I'm just saying.
There's a loose end there that a good writer could write a novel on. So anyway, enough said. So to Devon next, and then to track down this family gal, or do you want to do some inquiries that may take some time about tracking down this family, get those started, and go talk to Devon while we're waiting?
Yeah, seems fair.
Yep.
Sounds like a good idea.
Yes.
Looking for Devon, while contacts go look for the other family.
All right. So who's going to Devon's house?
Morgana will definitely go to Devon's house.
I will start putting feelers out to try and find the other family.
Can at least
Devon's
one of
house
the
as well,
magic
like.
types come and talk to Devon with me, just so we can give him the
Alright.
once over.
Yeah, I'll go to Devon's house as well. I'll
Excellent.
provide support.
Wherever Morgana's going, Mac is on bodyguard.
So pretty much everyone's going to Devon's, but the wedding. August is going to use some streetwise to put out some fillers for this destitute Griffin's family. While you're doing that, Morgana may have forgotten, but I bet she would remember. She might consider that whole she knows noble families and that
Yes.
for some ideas as well. You might
I will make a sequel to the aristocracy test. Good point.
combine that with August's streetwise role. I.e.
Just 1 second.
what it gets you. That sound fair? Lovely.
Yep.
Oh, good job, lady. Sorry.
Ooh. 3. 17.
Can't leave August on his own without a combat person, just in case there's a scuffle.
There could be a scuffle.
23.
1d3 and
23
August?
on
your noble knowledge.
Bear with me just 1 second, sorry, because I've just gone over to my other desk, that's all.
All good.
D10, D8, it's a D6 karma because the sooner we can get this track down, the better. 7, 9, 14.
So that is some very good feelers out and some good knowledge to help back up what you're looking for. And so we will let that simmer while you guys go meet Devin.
Then we could all go. Yeah.
In a nice upper middle class household inside London proper. So it's one of these big houses that's kind of squished between other big houses. Because London is crowded. You guys just go up and knock on the door?
Yep. Possibly suggested if we get a chance to check it as a small garden, just so we can see if we can find a suitable place for a brownie burrow, should one of Grumio's families want to go follow the household, as it would, follow the bride.
I know this is more of a Shadowrun comment than an 1879 comment, but I am paranoid and proud. Is there any like astral signatures or Fey sign around this house?
We can take a look. If I can get the right die here. Got a 13.
Pretty good. No face signs, but it is warded. They're not like super big, crazy, high-powered wards, but it is warded.
Is Devin a mage? Do we know that?
No, you
It
don't know that,
hasn't
but
come up.
also, question. Did you guys tell her that the brownie thinks that she's supposed to get married to the Prince of the Hunt? Or are we leaving that
Not
out for her?
as yet.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure to see it, because it does change a couple of things if she knows that. But all right. Not in a good way. So it's not necessarily good to tell her. I just want to make sure that I knew the answer. All right. So you guys are Devin's house. It is slightly warded. And it's nothing big. It's not going to blow up. It's more like alarm wards. So that if someone broke in, you would know that someone broke in. It would wake people up. If there was a fire, it would wake people up. They're well done, but not super powerful. Someone took their time. You knock on the door. The butler is, well, looks much more like a butler looks than the last one.
Yeah.
He's well put together. He's, may I ask who's calling? You guys hand over a card.
Yep.
You're expected. You're shown into a room. Tea and crumpets for everybody. And then Devin comes down, but Devin isn't by himself. Devin comes down with a set of what is very obviously parents. Devin is actually fairly tall. He's probably 6'2". His father's about 6 foot. His mother is also a taller lady, but she's a taller lady, putting her about 5'7", 5'8". They look like someone who's new money who's trying to look like old money, but not necessarily in a bad way. They're just trying not to be ostentatious and things like that. They also seem to think that Laura is just being a nervous bride. Occasionally things happen. They're so glad that you're here to put her mind at rest and put all this silliness aside. How can they help? Come here, baby girl.
Explain at least some of what we've discovered. We're probably going to skirt around the fairy bride side of things until we're more certain about that. And be just explain that
There is a brownie.
there is a brownie. We are dealing with it, and we just want to make we due diligence and all that. Make sure that there's no other problems that are going to come up. Check quietly if the words "wild hunt" mean anything to them, and if there's any family history there, or any family history there, just because this sort of thing can get complicated, and we want to make sure there's no problems going forward.
Okay. Sorry, I was reading the comments and the other thing. So
Sorry.
basically, you do explain that there is a brownie, but we leave out the supposed to be marrying the Prince of the Wild part.
Yes, yeah.
They actually look rather incredulously at you. And basically, the father seems to be you're pushing this silliness of a brownie.
I have met the brownie, my dear man. I do not think calling him silly would be a good idea.
There is a definitive look between the husband and wife. In the it is the look of, are they crazy too? let's hold
You've
that
got to
thought.
be kidding me.
Morgana, I know it sounds crazy, but we have seen enough in our time investigating strange things that these things need to be taken surprisingly serious these days. Ever since the rabbit hole opened,
So what
we
do we
may
need
not
to do
we may not
to?
believe in the brownies, but they certainly believe in us.
Well, stranger things have happened in the last few years, obviously.
Exactly. As to what we need to do, we have placated the brownie. I don't think we'll be making an actual appearance at the wedding, but letting it know that the party is happening in the garden, that it is invited, and it will enjoy the music should seem to smooth that up. There are a few other matters we're looking into, a matter of family histories and
So
other
to answer
things.
Griffin, yes, Drew. He's saying that to those, but then it's the whole, well, I guess we are talking to a troll and elves, and my son is marrying a troll. All right, I guess we're
Yes.
gonna have to go with it. They have words on the house, so they're not completely in
Yeah.
denial. No, by the way,
No.
Brad, what is the bird's name again?
Hedron.
Is not acting weird. Now everybody is looking at it weird, but they're all doing that wonderful British too polite to point out that you have a giant parrot on your shoulder. Just saying.
Hey, we don't do that. No, we totally do. We totally do.
Yeah, we completely.
Got a 19. Devin is not magical, but the mom is.
Magical mom.
And after looking at that with the 19, I think you can tell that she's probably the words are probably hers. There's also a good chance that as they are someone who's put time into them, they're not well trained per se. It's part of why they're not exactly high level. So whether she is very out about the fact she's magical, you're not sure. But yes, she is. There's never enough weapons. There you go. Yes. The British look. I have had many a British friend, and I will tell you right now, all of them seem to agree that they can totally ignore the elephant in the room and sit there and sip tea and pretend it's not there.
As
They're
long as the
very good
elephant
at it.
doesn't do anything beyond talking about the weather, it's fine.
Exactly. It's kind of like it's kind of like, as much as I love James, the Earth Dawn art director, he's not allowed in negotiations for funds ever again. He's too Canadian. He's like giving back the money as I'm negotiating it for him. It's awful. Hurts him to pieces. But yes, the Brits can totally ignore the elephant in the room and just everyone pretends it's not a thing. So
Vicious slander.
It's only true. And I love it about you. Okay. So
Sorry, I'll shut up. I'm not
the
even
mom
there.
is definitely, to use a Shadowrun term, awakened.
Yep.
She's definitely magical. Neither Devin or the dad is. They are both
Yeah.
grade A standard human. They seem to be nice enough people. They seem to be a fairly close knit family. As far as the brownie movie, that is a concern, sort of like, does that happen? Does the brownie move with them? What do we have to do to make sure that the brownie is at home? They have a
we
ton of questions.
will make sure you have proper everything you need to know is known at the time. as said, we're just trying to prepare for as many possibilities as we can, because Miss Price really hopes her niece to have a pleasant wedding. During the
They
conversation,
want their
how does
son to have
Devon
a
come
pleasant wedding
across?
too. Sorry, what was that?
How does Devon come across? Is he as nice as his bride?
Actually, he relatively is. He is a little more stoic and a little
Yep.
protective.
Yeah.
There seems to be like he seems very calm with you guys, but you guys are almost all Boojum, except for Nigel.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
like there seems to be like the tone and a couple times some of the words. He's protective of her and thinks that people might try to look down on her because she isn't human. And
That's
he
all.
seems a little sensitive to that. It's not necessarily a bad trait, but it's there. Like
Yeah.
if you wanted to find his button to push to make him angry, say something bad about her being a troll.
Yep.
And
Reasonable.
then he's going to
That's-
have young man syndrome, which is where they don't think things through and act in a harsh manner. You can totally see that. This is the young man who's fine. Then you said something nasty about his lady, and he starts into a fist fight.
Yeah.
All breaks loose.
He's
He should make sure that's okay with his wife to be, but that's not a terrible
give
trait.
him 5-10 years to chill out. He's a young guy.
He's a young
Let's
guy.
call him-
He's in love. This is
Yes, it's
perfectly
normal.
acceptable.
Yes.
Just if it turned out he was some sort of terrible cad who was bad, Morgana might be up to stuff. But
Well, we've had enough of those to deal with.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. This is a nice, normal, upper middle class family who are just trying to get their kids married.
Yeah. Excellent. And Morgana is happy to help and advise them on it. It is just another part of dealing with the way the world is these days.
It probably will take you hours. Enough time that basically August and River can catch up because they have so many questions about this whole brownie thing. Does it bring other face stuff? If they get married and they stay here for a while, will a brownie come here? What happens when they buy their own house? Do the brownies go there? Like, there's a bunch of this stuff that you guys probably don't even have answers for. But this is like,
Weymont knows
think about
somebody
this,
who
like,
will.
you found out that that your son is marrying a woman who has some sort of like chronic illness or something.
Yeah.
They have a ton of questions. What do we do? But
More
it's
in the
not bad questions. It's how do
more in
we
the
make
case of potential. Yeah, it's more of the case of potentially inheriting something like inheriting a butler.
right. Well, how do we feed and care for the butler? Where does the butler sleep? Do we have to have a separate home for the butler? What if the butler gets married? What if the butler has children? How do we like? It's that.
Yeah,
None of
completely.
it is
How to care for your butler.
If the butler has children, do we call them butlets?
exactly.
Responsible
No, but we
homeowners, you
should.
could have butlers.
Some of the questions are probably that silly. Like, what do we call the children of the butler, right? Like, but none of it is in a bad
That's
way.
up to the butler.
But none of it's in a bad way. None of it is meant in a harmful fashion. This is all okay. We can deal with that. We just need a foosball table full of information. Okay. Yeah. We need a tush ton of information. That you guys may want to here you go. Everybody gets Fey lore at a rank 1. Because at this point, you guys have all earned Fey lore at a rank 1, whether you took it or not. You guys have had enough Fey stuff that you have some general ideas.
I'm just going to put that on my sheet now.
Yeah.
Those of you who are there can roll your Fey lore to help try to answer the questions.
What is the
I'm gonna
connected
ask
skill?
channel Gran.
Is the connected skill intelligence?
Yes.
Perception. Yeah.
Always
Oh,
neuter your butler. Yeah.
No, we don't have intelligence. We have perception.
Yes, that's
Yeah,
what I meant.
perception with Spice, yeah. But I will also say this. I am
don't know if
making
this
this,
is.
and Brad can disagree with me, but he doesn't get to because it's my game. I am making this so that you can use karma on Phalor.
Oh, nice.
That's,
Well, I rolled a
that's all
12
up
on
to
my.
you, so that's fine. So it's
Uh,
still it would still be a
but-
free skill, but we do get to spend karma.
Well,
Yes.
Should
So-
it
Because I
be
really feel
should it be
like you guys
karma?
have earned it.
Do you want it to be karma required?
No, I don't think it has to be required.
Okay. Just mechanics point just to check. So, but
No, I get that. That's
that's
fair.
fine.
That's a fair question. But I feel like
When,
you guys have earned it from all the Fey junk you've gone through.
fair. I'm going to call that channeling Gran on my character sheet.
There you go,
And-
channeling grand.
Channeling Gran, and I rolled a 16 because my 12 re-rolled.
Okay.
Hold on, I'm getting.
I rolled a 16
No,
as
you're
well
fine.
because one of my d6s rerolled.
Well, you guys are just knocking this out of the park today.
Yeah, I'm gonna roll, and I'm gonna.
As a
throw
couple of
carbon
points
around and
while you're doing it,
You know what? If I can throw carbon at
in the game where Michelle is playing Morgana's brother, there is currently working out. They currently now have a cat with a 1,000-mile stare that lives in the house, given to complaints of mice.
I
It-
haven't
it
had
pretty-
people with complaints of mice.
23.
For the set.
it-
23. Whoa. All right.
It deals with it, but it's dealing with them successfully. But it's kind of going me. You weren't there, man. You weren't there.
I am running. I have to check when I'm running it next. Call it a variation on Temple of Elemental Evil. And in the town of Nulb, there's basically
Did you say
a
the town was
potion.
called Nope.
Nulb. If I remember correctly, the name of the town is Nulb. Nulb.
I see.
But I'll double check. I didn't write them names for this. That's actually
Greyhawk
what
has wacky names. It's plausible.
it does. Okay. So, but there's a potion maker store, and there's a cat in there, and apparently it is the most fascinating NPC in the entire game so far. They're trying to figure out if this cat is sentient or not.
Is the cat sentient?
And the sad part is I, as a GM, have not decided if the cat is sentient or not. I've actually decided I'm just going to let them decide. When they decide one way, I'll just go that way with it. So far, it seems to be leaning that the cat is sentient. I'm like, oh. If that's what they want, I'll give it to them. All right, Brad, what was your Fey lore
I put
roll?
it in the chat.
Oh, it's in the
But-
chat. Yeah, okay.
Well, that's the thing.
Okay,
It would
so
be
you guys
really
all did-
difficult to determine if a cat is sentient or not, because as I've said before,
cat.
if cats could text you back, they wouldn't.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Yeah,
So-
cats know
so that's
how you
been
feel.
fun.
They just
But I'll
don't
tell you right
care.
now, absolutely, so far, the most interesting NPC as far as they're concerned. All right, you guys do a fabulous job. And I won't say that everything you come up with is perfect, but most of what you come up with is very, very good and great information. You guys do a very good job of giving some, general Fey advice, especially from everything you learned from the brownie previously. And some of the advice looks like, well, we can't tell you for sure that they would move here or that they would go with them, but if they do, these are things you should try, blah, 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 blah. And you'll never see them. So you have to kind of put the stuff out there and check and see if it's taken, things like that, blah, 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 blah. You do a fabulous job. You then are going to catch up with, is there anything else you guys need to do with them, with Devin and Devin's family?
I think so. I think we pretty much got anything we need.
That's it. Yes. Yeah. Just
You're
a little
going to
bit of
catch up with
a few
August.
questions about.
Sorry, go ahead.
Actually, just a couple of questions on family history to see if there are any unusual, if they have any history with the Fae. But I suspect the answer to that will be not that they have any knowledge of. So
Not that, yeah, they have no knowledge.
that's
They
fine.
were, in all truth, they were fairly taken surprised, like most people were when all of this fell out. They've
That's
handled it
perfectly reasonable.
better, but also keep in mind, like Devin is very protective of her, even though she's a
Yep.
troll. But nobody actually openly says anything that mom's a mage.
Yeah.
But obviously, she's done something with it because the house is warded. So they're in that wonderful middle level where they don't talk about it, but they're more accepting than most type of,
Yeah.
Mac had one point he would like to emphasize, especially with the mom, that if something comes up, they should get a hold of us right away. And if there's anything unusual, they feel threatened, they don't feel safe, anything like
Yes.
that they can turn to us and we'll do our best to help.
Yeah.
They're very appreciative of that. They are slightly like, should they be afraid? Are brownies violent? I don't remember hearing anything that brownies can be violent. I mean, quite frankly, all the stuff that's happened has been kind of petty stuff that's fixable.
Which
So they've not
should be fairly
considered.
representative.
Well, I just
So,
know
okay.
that she put up wards for a reason. And there's a little bit of double message there for her.
They're
But
very
yeah,
appreciative. All right, you guys meet up with River and August. You guys did really well with some of the information you already had, some of the stuff that you picked up from Lady Morgana, your resources, River's help. You pretty sure you found at least part of the family. They're living, and I hate to, but they're basically living in a boathouse on the Thames.
Thames.
They run a
Thames.
Thames. Thames. Yo,
H silent.
I know
I-
I have problems with it too.
I
The only way I learned it is just to have it keep being repeated at me.
okay. There's a Brad knows this. There's a Erton team member whose name is Carl, but it's spelled Karol. I grew up with a guy that worked with my dad whose name is Carol. So I see the name and I go, Carol. It's Carl. But it has
Yeah,
taken me forever. And I
Yeah,
still
I
mess
do
it up
that
and I look
mentally
at the
too.
word.
yeah, me
It's
too.
horrible.
Given
I'm
I've been doing
bad.
some stuff with him,
I'm a bad
and,
person. I have to
and
practice.
given
Okay.
and given he has a perfectly reasonably Polish surname, it being either
Yes.
would be reasonable.
He's very Polish. Like he has family in Poland, Polish.
Yeah.
Like he's gone and visited
Yeah.
and things like that.
Yeah, Neo Rozumiem po polsku.
It was that guy
Look,
from The Walking Dead.
look, it's regardless,
people are
it's not as
fabulous.
bad as trying to pronounce the name of the Welsh dragon.
Okay, you want to hear hilarious but bad? So Tiny Town School has their little Christmas pageant play rehearsal concert. So I was the music teacher, so I'm pushing that we practice. And the one little girl is in the 3rd or 4th grade, and the term debut performance. And she looks at it and goes, debut.
Chortle. I'm such a
Debut.
child.
And when I said it was debut, she looks at me like I'm stupid because debut is not what those letters say. And I said, I know, honey, it's French. They're all messed up over there. It's still debut. But she looked at me like I was messing with her. I'm just saying.
It's France. It's a
Obviously
different
messing with her.
planet.
Right? But debut
Does France
performance.
even exist?
I have to say, that is the
Forget
most
it.
English comment I've heard so far today.
What?
So okay,
Agreed.
so you guys catch back up, but you guys have done very well. You're pretty sure the family is, we will say, been on hard times for a while. They literally live in basically a room attached to where they dock this barge, and that's kind of the family business, is using the barge to move goods up and down the river. So, but you do have, you're pretty sure that that is at least part of the family.
Do they have any girl children of eligible age?
Yes, they do, and she happens to be a troll, but she's more of a traditional looking troll.
What is her name?
Mary Margaret.
All right. Mary Margaret, and the last name was up here, Griffin?
Yeah.
Griffith. Yeah.
Griffith.
Mhm.
And is she unwed?
She is unwed.
All right. And the family is living in poverty?
You could say that. I mean,
Not
they're
to their
not sharing a house
face.
with two other families, but they're basically living in a room where they basically on the backside of where they dock the barge. So yes,
Understood.
they're,
So
they're
check
not
check.
homeless, but
Yeah.
they're definitely impoverished.
Yeah, and then we can see if she's open to the idea. But at least she passes the first hurdles. Actually, that's actually a caricature from tradition in the tales. So there you go. Okay. Where do you have the address?
I believe we do, since we know
Yeah.
which.
Yeah, you guys would have the address. I mean, you know where they're at. You know that they have a daughter. They actually have like 5 kids,
Okay,
but the daughter, that particular daughter, is the only one who is Boojum.
Yeah.
No,
All
they
right.
very Catholic family, very crowded house.
Okay, so let's if I can suggest, why don't we go and just observe them for a day or so and see if there an opportunity opens up to approach them. But get some
Visiting the house demanding marriage.
or do you guys have a different plan you want to pursue? I'm just
I don't think that's a bad plan. Also means we can sort out a few things with the brownies. So
getting a woman out of poverty and giving her some opportunities she never dreamed of. That's a good thing. And I like that she's a family with many children because that tends to be a good sign for how things might go for her.
Romeo was upset that Laura's family was not paying the proper respect.
yes.
So they will have known that they had Faye on the property and they
Yeah.
shared space with the property. So I don't think it'll be as it might be with another
shocking,
family.
yeah.
Thank
Depends
you.
how
That's the
much
word I was
family
trying to.
history they kept. Yeah.
What is the appropriate etiquette? I would certainly think gifts to the family as we approach are appropriate, and I guess gifts of practicality for a family that's living on the edge of poverty like that.
To a degree, actually telling them and giving them stuff might be considered insulting. I know these are people not Fae, but it works that way too.
According to Vash the Stampede, you're supposed to bring donuts. Just saying.
Yes. All right, fair
But
enough.
that's an old anime thing, so probably nobody gets the joke.
Oh, I'm well
No,
familiar
actually,
with Trigun.
Actually, I
joke.
think you'll find that there was a Trigun remake just last year. So
Wait, there was? Who's
yes,
streaming that?
Trigun
Game's over. Andy's got to go do that. What?
Trigun Stampede. It was last year, and it was streamed by Crunchyroll.
But did you
Crunchyroll,
just
okay.
put
I
actually
will
the
look for that.
GM? I'm just saying.
I think he just did.
Okay, so according to Trigun, the proper etiquette is donuts. Just saying.
Mm.
All right, so you guys finished really deciding that, but
Turning it blatantly with charity would be bad. Turning it with donuts or some other appropriate things as a hello, you don't know us, but might be reasonable.
Yeah, especially if it's a treat. 5 kids and they're all working their asses off.
Yeah.
so you guys are going to watch them for a day or two, and then bring some sort of treat for the kids when you decide to introduce yourselves.
Yeah.
I
Is that
would
right?
I would suggest watching them for a while and then approaching them, but not losing too many days because we've got a limited timeline before the solstice.
Yeah, but bringing treats for the kids would actually be great. Would be a good way, and just going, oh, we happen to be carrying these things. Just not making a big thing about it, just because pride and all of that.
So
we're likely to be bringing up a subject that's touchy.
So most of the kids work outside the home. Not unusual for this time period.
I mean, they are over 5
the-
years old,
Mary
So-
Margaret actually she works on the barge. She's a troll. She's strong and she can help with the barge, so she does. The mom basically seems to take in washing from other barge people who don't have a wife type of thing. So like she's a laundress. Several of the kids work in factories nearby. There's an older boy who also helps with some of the barge stuff. So dad, Mary Margaret, and one of the boys works on the barge. The other three kids work in different factories, and the mom is a laundress. They have a fairly stable routine, and they seem to all eat dinner together. Anything else you want to know from watching them?
Yep.
Is the protocol for a gal of her age? She might not have marriage prospects, but it wouldn't be unusual for a suitor to indicate interest. And is it like completely outside the box for a family where everybody's working, or does the family reasonably expect that at some point she'll marry and move out?
Yes and no. It's totally reasonable for her to have a suitor. You didn't see anything that implies one, but I will be honest, Victorian era communication with suitors is weird. Like sending flowers could be a code. What
Yeah.
type of flowers, what color flowers. There's even stuff with how you move your fan, how a lady moves her fan
Yeah.
was a code. Like it's very tricksy to necessarily. You did not see
There's
any
a
signs of
whole
the suitor.
there's a whole language of flowers of giving people bouquets that are basically
Oh
deadly
yeah.
insults. And the
Yeah, and
fans,
the
I think
fan.
I think I have links to both.
There's a
Would
lot
they
of weird
apply
stuff like
to a
that.
woman in poverty though?
Well, it's less than poverty because they don't have the money to spend on flowers and fans and silliness. So they tend to be a little more
and
practical. As far as whether she would
and to a
move
certain
out,
degree,
that turns into a weird thing. Like it depends on what the guy does. Like maybe the guy joins the family business, or maybe she joins his family stuff, right? Like
I got
yeah.
it.
it's
And
very dependent.
also it may be a lot more at the bottom end of the social scale. It's likely to be a lot more modern seeming and, shall we say, matters of convenience. The idea
Yeah.
that your wife is, there may never have been a ceremony, there may never be a proper suiting thing. You both got drunk and you ended up having kids together and now live together, and you will be considered married, but it's not at the very
Not
low
approved by
end of
the
the social
church.
class. It's the middle classes who are obsessed with courting and proper marriages and stuff like that.
Yeah. And is it for this class, is it like they would do a church registration? Is that how it would work?
They might or they might not, I would think, at this level.
I'm
But
just
also remember that they've not always been in this class, so they might do it differently.
They
That's
may
true.
do it different. Yeah.
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 Because they were a wealthy family and now they are not.
Yeah.
So they might not see themselves as not wealthy
Yeah. They may be expecting
with
things.
that sort of tradition. Yeah.
Yeah.
I leave you to navigate all of that and somehow convince Kenoris to go into the church to sign a register.
So I guess what I need to know is, after you've watched for a couple of days, what do you do? How do you approach?
I suspect, as friendly as possible, offering the card and then possibly sitting them down and telling them how we came to be there. But
Probably near dinner time, shortly after dinner time, because
yeah,
they're all going to be together around dinner.
yeah, the evening, and try and make it clear. Yeah, this is just to discuss with Mary Margaret and the parents, probably, because it's a matter of family history and such. So
Yeah.
Okay, so let's just start with you and knock on the door about the time that they probably ought to be done with dinner.
Yep.
One of the kids answers the door. It's one of the younger ones. Probably the youngest. It's another little girl. Hi.
Good day.
Do you need something
I've
moved?
no. I need to talk to your parents, I believe. Allow me to introduce myself. I'm Morgana Whitworth.
With your
I'm an
creditors,
investigator.
we don't have anything. She
What
starts
was
to
that?
close
Sorry,
the
you were
door. She
no,
says, if
no.
you're creditors, we don't have anything.
We're not. We're not creditors. We're investigators. We have something we need to talk to your parents about.
The mom comes over and she kind of, you probably hand her the card. She looks it over. She lets you
As
in.
to 17 on the first impression.
Which calms her down a bit. There's some unease, like, what do you guys want? Are you really investigators? What are you investigating? And she
I,
pretty much is like, whatever they said my kids did, they didn't do. They're good
I'm.
kids.
Don't worry. Your children are not in trouble. There is a matter that may concern you, and I believe it's Margaret Mary, one of your elder
Mary
daughters.
Margaret.
Mary Margaret. Sorry.
Well, they let you in, and the kids are all kind of polite enough to kind of get onto the floor and out of chairs so that there are enough places for you guys to sit. She kind of looks around and she's like, I'd offer you tea, but the mugs are all, well,
There is no need. In fact, given the time, we thought it best, and we'll produce our bag of sweet cakes.
And
the
a package of tea, of good quality
Yep.
tea.
the kids have eyeballs like it's Christmas. And the mom is a little wary, but when she sees how excited the kids are for the sweets, she's trying to do her best to manage them and the sweets and be polite. And we'll say, for the situation, she's not doing that bad of a job, but it obviously is a juggle with this many kids and everything else. But she's trying. So what's this about Mary Margaret?
Um,
Should the father be here for this or not?
He is. He's just being very quiet. He's just
got
kind
it.
of waiting to see what happens.
it's quite a complicated matter and very strange, but it involves something that ties to your family history. I presume we've got the generations involved with this sort of grandfather or his grandfather or such.
If there are grandparents, you haven't found the grandparents.
No,
There
no,
just
yeah,
seems to
yeah.
be.
The people who left, the generation that lost the house is what I was
Oh, it
talking.
would have been like
Wondering.
his grandfather. So it would be like the
Yeah,
kid's Mary Margaret's great grandfather.
grandfather. And I apologize. Some of this may be sensitive, but the house to him, your grandfather used to have.
He'll actually speak up and call it by the estate name.
Yeah. The family who are living there now are having some strange troubles that we're trying to help them with, and it may be as if your family's history has been transferred to them. Like you, they have a daughter who went through looking glass fever and came out of it an awful lot taller than she was. And she is getting married. However, there may be some confusion involving. This will, of course, seem strange, but do you know of any family story of brownies living on your estate? on the
He actually
estate.
kind of smiles. This is probably the first smile you've seen. And it's that half smile, half remembrance smirk face. He's like, my grandmother used to talk about that the house had brownies, and she would leave out cookies, whatever, and she swore by it.
Your grandmother was a wise woman. We have met the brownies that live on that estate, and they seem to think that the young lady is betrothed to marry some fairy prince, where in fact by blood, and it is a matter of blood, by right it should be Margaret Mary who is the betrothed, if things had turned out differently.
So there's some wide-eyed stuff, and Mary Margaret, who's been fairly politely quiet as a child should be, I'm gonna marry a fairy prince.
If he takes that way and you would like to, I'm not sure from what I have heard, he may be the best of husbands, but I'm given to understand if you meet your side of the requirement and give him children, he will treat you very well. I'm not sure I would recommend it, but that's what it is, and it may be your birthright, and we're not really sure, but
There are
the
a whole
brownies
lot of
seem to think it may
questions.
be the case. He's just mistaken her for you, it turns out. The bride for you.
So there are a whole lot of
You've
questions that they have, like, is he wealthy? Does that mean he'll take care of the whole family? What requirements does she have to, you know?
Morgana will possibly find the idea of the Prince of the Wild Hunt finding out he's going to look after her own, his bride's family seems perfectly fine. He should have to deal with that if he wants to marry random women. But she will also, let the more expert on the Fae side and magical side of people in. But just try and break it to them like that. They appear to be caught in a fairy tale, and unfortunately,
So
some other people have been caught in it too. And we're trying to make sure everybody comes out of it with their happy ending.
So who is going to explain her side of this to Mary
Well,
Margaret, or
it's
are you
Mac.
going to kind of just gloss over that?
I think I'm going to leave Mac as the expert on these, on our expert on the Wild Hunt. He may get a slight smile he'll get a mischievous smile from Morgana when she says that.
All right. Well, Mac will go up. He's a troll. He's talking to another troll. What is her size?
You can't ask
I mean, she's not as big as Mac, but she's sizable.
Yeah, she's
She is
bigger
a
than
big
Mac.
woman.
Yeah.
She's strapping and helping move the barge in the stuff. She's a good sized lady.
And she looks like she's
And
been through enough tough experiences that she might do
yes,
well with the hunt. I mean, she's not like a
she
frail.
no, she is almost the complete opposite of what you found in Laura.
Check.
Whereas
Okay.
Laura has this kind of elegant, regal, statuesque. Mary Margaret is a big wall of a woman
I
who
gotcha.
looks like she could take most of the
A
people in the room
strapping
and stake
lass.
them.
Yeah.
She's a strapping lass.
And her demeanor is pretty, and her upbringing has been that she's pretty straightforward type.
Yes.
Just okay. In that case, Mac will take that appropriate tone with her and be quite clear. This is an opportunity that is not without risks, and it's up to her to choose. But the individual involved is reputed to be very protective of his family, very outdoorsy, a fae of the wilds and the forest, not of civilized behavior, but of the old lore. And should their union be blessed with children, he will protect her for the rest of his days. But there are risks if she doesn't, if the union is not fruitful, because it's part of the fertility of the forests and the land itself. And she would be channeling those old magics for her role in this, should she choose that that's what she wants. It's an opportunity she is unlikely to see anything like in normal experience. Does she want something different than working the barges? Does she want to bring the strength of the stone and the mountain and of the Fomarian people to the forests and have an extraordinary life, or the shot at one?
I'm going to vote that Mac is selling it. I'm just saying.
I think we should be clear that we're not 100% certain on it, but it's definitely something that, if she's willing to take the opportunity, if it happens, it would be something we're happy to help with.
Yeah.
Well,
And
her,
it will
parents
be
seem
up.
to think this is a damn fine idea.
So
She's going to look at Mac because he's been the one talking and he's another troll. And he's been very forward. And I'm going to say that she can tell that he's being pretty upfront about things, right?
yeah, and there are
And she's going
dangers.
to say, he's going
Yeah.
to look at me and say that I'm his fairy princess.
It may not be like what you hear in the, well, it'd probably be more like what you'd hear in the tales than what you'd hear from storytellers. The Fae are wild. The Fae can be brutal. They can be as brutal as the sea, a storm in a forest, and they can be tender and they can be beautiful. Emotions are and magic are woven into one with the land and expressed. It is not for the
And
faint of heart.
and he should be complimented that you would think about taking him.
Exactly.
He is doing very well. He is doing very, very well from this bargain.
Yeah.
How do I? Can I meet him before? Is he just going to show up at the door? How does this work?
Well,
we have there's two steps to this as far as I'm aware. The first one is you'd have to meet with the brownies who are the same Fae who your great grandmother so adored, and there is a process of becoming becoming ready to become a bride for the prince, and you would have to go through that process. And if it works and it feels comfortable, and that's gone well, then you would be a candidate for the prince. But it's up to you if you want to take that first step. But it's leading you to places you will never expect if you
and
want to
if
go
you
on
change,
a journey.
if at any point you decide it's not what you want to do, we will make sure that it doesn't happen.
We'll do our best, but the wild magic is the wild magic. And once you begin this journey, you've started your own fairy tale, for better or for worse.
You seem to think you know an awful lot about magic for someone who hasn't studied magic.
That's true. I'm playing Drew. I'm not playing my character. I apologize.
He's just channeling his gran.
Fair enough.
His gran
Yeah, we
who
should make
apparently
it.
was
We
some
should
sort
have
of
made him
arch
whoa
wizard.
channeling Gran, because that's actually now a
Aren't-
completely valid skill. Channeling
I'm
Gran.
sorry, but aren't all grans arch wizards?
Exactly.
It's pretty close.
Explain a lot.
Yeah,
Mhm.
fair,
See?
fair.
Makes sense.
I'm telling you, it's a new skill set. Channeling Gran.
Yeah.
All right. Her parents are all in for this, and you can be, whether it's right or wrong, it doesn't really. It's not that they're trying to harm their daughter. It's the chance that not only she but their whole family could prosper from this. For them, it's worth a bit of risk. She seems to be very open to it. She's a little concerned with things like she doesn't think that a fairy prince is going to find her princess material. And she's a little concerned with this. She has to go through a process and is curious what that process entails.
Well, how about if we bring you and properly introduce you to the brownie who handles that, and the two of you can discuss it and get whatever questions you have are answered, and then you can decide on that part of the step if that's what you want to do.
They'd like a day to think. She'd like a day to think about it.
Done.
Her parents seem to be okay. Let's go tomorrow. but she would like a day to think about it.
It's a big decision. That's good.
So, let's see where are we at on time? Oh,
How
we've got
about if
10 minutes.
how about if I suggest that they send a message to the private investigator's office if she would like to proceed? That way they can be in control.
Morgana, give me
Yeah.
a perception, diplomacy,
Diplomacy.
something like that, real quick.
Yeah. $24.
You should probably leave some money for a bus, because that's a heck of a walk
Yes.
from here.
No.
What
They
about
don't look like they have money for just bus rides.
Morgana will sort out and because we are, I put it in the terms of because we are making presumptions of you here. Here is our card how to this. Here is enough. Here is plenty of money to make sure that you can come to us to discuss it when you want to do it, and do that. And obviously, to be anything else they feel they need, and Morgana will fairly casually overpay for that.
I figured you would.
Yeah.
So I went to you. All right. Anybody else have any words of wisdom advice for the young possible bride?
Really, it's not something I've any experience with.
Don't
All
wear
right.
iron.
Wherever, do you have it? Did you have something to tell the bride?
Don't wear iron.
Don't wear
Mhm.
iron. That's actually very good advice, River. That's very good practical advice. On your wedding night with the Fey Prince, maybe you don't wear iron.
Or just have some to hand just in case he misbehaves.
Keep some in the
Morgana may
pouch
have.
if he gets mouthy.
Morgana will have
Next with it.
possibly a little later in the evening once we have left and gone separate way. We'll have a quiet word with River just to make it clear that she's of the opinion that they should be ready to make sure that if Margaret Mary decides actually she doesn't want to marry this Fey Prince, the Fey Prince understands he's not getting married to anyone who doesn't want it. Because
So are we?
Morgana has opinions on marriage.
Are we wanting diplomacy, subtlety?
Sweetie, I'm
Sweetie,
bringing
they
this
don't
to
go to
you.
River for subtlety. I'm just
Yeah, this is
I have
just.
subtlety. We'll
Let's
go
just be
hand axe.
prepared. Let's just be prepared to shoot another powerful fairy in the head if it decides it's going to be if it decides it's going to be make a problem with this. Okay.
I was gonna say River is subtle with
Men,
the D. Very, very strongly pronounced.
I don't know.
River
River
has
can be quite
subtlety.
subtle. She understands the concept of sniping.
She does snipe. That's true.
No, that's diplomacy.
Oh, that's diplomacy.
Oh,
Sniping is
sorry. Yeah.
diplomacy.
Subtlety is a hand axe.
But I said, just I think Morgana and River share similar opinions and what men should be able to expect from women. And just because they're Fey princes doesn't give them extra leeway.
What are you teasing? All
Okay,
right. With
so
that,
I'll go and get iron bullets. Finally.
I mean, it depends what the fairy prince looks like.
Yeah. I think it's mostly attitude because he may be pretty, but that doesn't make him a good person.
Fairy prince played by Henry Cavill. Ooh. Just
all
saying.
right.
The leader of the
Just
Wild
say-
Hunt. He could look like anything.
Henry Cavill made a convincing Wolverine. Bit tall, but
No woman would want
So
him
is Jackman.
as a fairy prince. What woman would want that in her bed, looking at her with the heat in his eyes?
What, Henry Cavill?
Uh huh.
I think it would
Henry
get some blokes
Cavill is
too.
really a pretty man. I'm just gonna
True.
say. It's a lot like what's his name? Jason Momoa.
Oh
Oh
yeah.
no,
He's easy
you
on
can
the
keep
eyeballs.
him. Oh no, you
Really?
can keep
Oh, I
him.
like.
Yeah, really
I think
no.
he's pretty. But
No,
I think Henry Cavill is also pretty. So
Henry Cavill is very pretty.
he is.
Yes.
The one that I don't get is and I like him as an actor. Don't get me wrong. But what's Cumberbatch? I don't find him
Benedict
pretty.
Cumberbatch?
Yeah, I think he's a good actor, but I don't find him pretty. I'm
No,
strange, I know.
he's
All right, with that,
interesting looking
yeah, but I
rather
wouldn't
than
say he's
pretty.
pretty.
No,
Yeah,
no, it's
see, that I can
not
go with.
pretty.
And I think he can come off attractive and intense, but I don't think pretty. All right,
Charismatic is the word I'd use for
there you
for
go.
for Benadryl
So,
Custard Beth.
are any of you guys old enough that you played AD&D?
Oh yeah.
Oh, yes.
Yep.
Yeah. Way,
they
way
used
back
to
in the day,
say-
but yeah.
There was a rule where you could take your stats and you would split them. So like charisma would be physical attractiveness and basically force of personality. Because there are some people who are not beautiful in the classical sense of beautiful or attractive, but they have a great sense of just presence.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I actually really liked how that was split because some people just have that presence even though they're not classically beautiful. Yeah, it's a thing.
Mhm.
All right, we are going to close out the game. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed the story so far. We double wedding
Yeah.
next.
Is the title of
Well,
the
just one
scenario a slight complication to the wedding?
That'll be fun to explain to the families. Small thing. Do you mind if we use the tent 2 days before?
Well, at the very least, we're going to come and talk to the family and explain to them that we're going to have visitors coming from the previous family who owned the house coming to talk to the brownies and hopefully smooth everything out.
I think you guys can do it. If anybody can, you guys can.
Go
All
team.
right. Go
Woo.
team. All right.
Indeed.
All right. We will see everyone in 2 weeks.
Oh, I had one planning on the calendar thing, which is 2 weeks is the 15th, and then 2 weeks is the 29th. Oh yeah, that's right. We don't leave. We're traveling on the 30th. That works out. Sorry, I just was
Nope, you're
coordinating.
fine.
Well,
Yeah.
15th.
Nope.
So
Yeah, the
15th,
15th
29th.
and the 29th. Everybody good?
Oh wait, hang on. Let me double check that.
I was expecting the 29th not to
holidays are
probably
coming.
work out because Christmas and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. 15th, I will be okay.
All right. What about the 29th? Are we good on the 29th?
29th, no.
No. Other
I-
humans, 29th is a no. Is that fine? And we'll pick up after?
29th.
I was
29th being a
expecting.
no,
I wouldn't.
a Christmas break.
All right. So 15th, no 29th.
Yeah.
And then we should be able to come back on the 12th of January.
Yes.
Sounds good.
That works.
Excellent.
All right. Excellent. I hearts all of you. Happy holidays.
Thank you
all
for
that
running
jazz.
in.
How many
All right.
Thank
APs
you.
for the
That was
session?
fun.
Thank you, Andy.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome. Bye,
Yeah.
guys.
Hang
Bye.
on,
Any
hang on,
AP?
hang on. How many APs for this session?
A bazillion. I don't.
Yay.
What?
A bazillion?
How many
Good
zeros
Zeros
is
is
God.
that?
loads.
How
I
many
have about
zeros is that?
500. About 500.
Got it.
500, okay.
Yep.
Yep.
Sure.
Thank you. Oh,
All right.
excuse me.
Bye.
Take up.
Bye bye. Thanks again.
Bye.
All right, and I will go ahead and sign off for the recording. So thank you very much, everybody, for tuning in, and we will see you guys next time.